What would you say if I said that having ham every day is good for your hobby? Well, 3 out of 6 hams may agree with that. So skip your veggies, grab that knife and fork, and let's get into the next Live Free and Ham. Hello, and welcome to the Live Free and Ham podcast. This is our weekly show where we discuss ham radio topics in New Hampshire, New England, and beyond. We're thrilled to have you here tonight, and whether you're a regular listener or tuning in for the first time, thanks for joining the episode and hanging out with us tonight. So let's get into our regular show here. I'm your host, Eric, call sign N1JUR, and I'm with my co-host,
Paul, N1OG,
and the General, Todd, W1SDJ.
And we got... I can't get over that every time I think I have to sell in church or something like that. So we got 3 special guests on tonight. Go ahead and say hello. One of you 3, step up.
I'll go ahead. I'm James, call sign K8JKU.
and my name is Jim, N8JRD. We have 2 Jims in the crew here.
And I'm Rory, W8KNX.
Cool. What? I thought you were Rory.
That's what I said, didn't I?
I thought I heard Murray, but okay, whatever. I was gonna call you out like I missed somewhere or something along the line here.
We speak quickly in this part of part of Michigan. Rory.
Got it. Murray. Got it. Okay, Murray, we're on.
All right.
All right. Well, yeah, as always, we love to get into our topic, but we got a few things we got to catch you guys up on. As always, head on over to our storefront at livefreeandham.com/shop. You can check out all our cool merch. We've got my favorite new t-shirt, which is on the way, actually, because I finally put the order in today. That's called RF Around and Find Out. That and many other t-shirts are out there. And if you want to be like Tortoise Overland, man, he has been on the prowl. He just finished his second order of 25 pack of hammies there. And so I don't know where he's putting them or what he's doing, but, he's spreading the love with our, hammies there. And so if you want to learn more, you can always head over to gethammed.com, check that stuff out. But we thank, Tortoise Overland for picking up another set of 25 there. So keep it going, buddy. All right. As always, we do our live stream every month. And so if you aren't part of our YouTube channel, make sure you head over there and click subscribe and hit that notification bell so you get notified because, like we say, we don't always know when we're going to do our live stream. So, you want to make sure you're on in the end and you're paying attention and you're able to join in. And make sure you're part of our subscriber base. So you can always, if that's not your cup of tea, reach out to us via SMS, or you can leave us a voicemail at 978-233-1142. And again, all those links are always in our show notes for easy reach. So, what are you waiting for? Like we've told you before, just stop what you're doing, pick up the phone, leave us a voicemail, say hello. That's all we're looking for. Because, Todd's lonely. But this week, we actually have something in our mailbag, so I'm super excited to hear that. And so if you always, want to continue to support the show, you can always become one of our Patreon members, or you can head over there and buy us a beer link. And as we always say with all of our Patreon members, they get access to all of our early show releases. They get all the uncut, unfettered, unedited versions of our podcast, and they get to be part of this private live stream that we got going on. So with that, we always say, as Bob Koff says,
you can join for as little as $3 a month. It's not a big expense.
Nope, you can't. And Bob is right, 100%. Bob is one of our loyal Patreon subscribers, and he's always part of a great community of folks. So why don't you head on over there? And we got one little light correction here that came about because one of our listeners had mentioned it. Last episode, I accidentally made a snafu and said the wrong date to our POTA, 24-hour POTA camp out. It is actually the September 6th and 7th. It's not the 7th and 8th, which is the Monday, Tuesday. We're going to be there Saturday and Sunday, so that weekend. So the registration form has the dates correct. So, if you're still interested, we are still, looking for folks to, come and fill out that form. Nothing lock it in until we kind of get the final numbers together. But you can learn more about that by heading over to livefreeandham.com /24H-POTA. And that's supposed to be a big blast. We are super excited to have that. And if you want to learn more about it, obviously, you can go back in our catalog and check out the episode where we talk about the 24-hour POTA and all the stuff that goes along with that. Or you can email us at livefreeandham@gmail.com, and we'll be glad to catch you up on all those details. So those that have signed up, you guys are still on that list, and we'll be reaching out to you guys soon to let you know more details and where we're going to need to go with that.
So tell us for our newbies, for the people we don't know, give us an elevator speech. What's the 24 hours of POTA?
It's exactly 24 hours, POTA.
So,
no, just kidding. Is that elevator enough?
So
Go ahead, Todd.
We're trying to, and I was thinking one day, I said, well, we do field day. And I said, I don't think anyone's done a 24-hour POTA activation. So we started talking about it. And then we finally said, you know what? We're just going to camp out at a POTA park and run it for 24 hours. See what happens.
Yep.
So we're going to run one station, and we're just going to switch off, calling our Live Free and Ham. What's our call sign again?
Whiskey 1, Live Free and Ham.
Yeah, Whiskey 1, Live Free and Ham call sign, and do it all night, all day, 24 hours. See what happens. Maybe it'll become a tradition.
I quietly check my calendar to see if I'm available.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
we have space open.
So this is my update. So I talked to the warden. Is that what you call him? The warden?
The park ranger?
Park ranger. Yeah, the park
the warden.
Yeah, I work in criminal justice. So I'm always thinking
That makes more
warden.
sense. Yeah.
All right. So the park ranger, and he told me, he goes, yeah. I go, this is where I want to do it. And he goes, yeah, it's all great. He goes, just can't do it right now. And I said, why? He goes, well, it's underwater. So we've had like a ton of rain, and the lake is like maybe tops 6 feet, maybe 10 feet deep at the deepest, and it just floods, and it flooded the parking lot in the field. He goes, but don't worry. He goes, if that happens in September, which it probably won't, but if it did, he goes, I got a whole other space for you guys. So you guys are good no matter what happens. So he's hooked us up, and he's seen a bunch of people. They were closed last year because we were going to do it last year, but they closed the whole park for the year because they redid all the electric. So I guess they were redoing their buildings and the bathhouses and stuff. So the place was closed down. But I guess some of our club members and maybe some other hams snuck in, and we're doing POTA activations.
24-hour POTA on a cruise. Also,
you could. It might be BOTA instead of POTA, but yeah.
But no, this Greenfield State Park, it's a cool park. If everything works out, we're going to be right in the parking lot, right where, right near like a bathhouse, but right on the lake. And it's pretty open, and campers can just pull right in. You know, we'll set it up, and we'll just have our little tent and just like a field day kind of operation. And we just got to make sure someone's working the radio.
24.
So,
yeah, James, if you want to come, hit me up on, via email,
I still have to activate New Hampshire. So, I mean, that's an opportunity.
There you go.
Right there.
We'll help you turn it green. That's all all we want is people
that's what I live for, seeing the checkbox.
That's what Live Free and Ham. That's what we are. That's what we live for.
It could also be a competition type thing, because by September, Whiskey 8 Everyday Ham will be a call sign.
Wow.
Paperwork.
Oh, sweet.
Paperwork is in on that. So maybe we'll have to do a Michigan thing that weekend and see what we can do.
Okay.
Do a 24-parter out there.
That'd be cool.
There we go.
Well, dude, that'd be awesome. If that does, even if it does happen, you guys are more than welcome to come hang out with us. We'd love to have you. We got plenty of camper space. Just let us know, and we'll make sure we get a bunk for you.
Yeah, and if you don't hang out with us, at least try to work us.
We will. Absolutely. We'll be looking for you for sure.
Yeah. The only thing is that Todd wakes up in the middle of the night sometimes in cold sweats, worrying that that's going to be the worst day band conditions wise, and we're not going to make one contact whatsoever. And so he just he's praying, rubbing sticks together for the band gods, because with the conditions we've had these past couple of weeks, man, I don't know what to expect.
Been tough.
In September. Oh.
It will be great. Don't worry.
I hope so. Either way, I mean, we'll be able to hang around, drink a lot and eat.
I don't want to hear the weatherman saying, "Oh, the Northern Lights will be available in New Hampshire." I'm going to be like, "No,
dark, please."
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, so hit us up on livefreeandham@gmail.com, or feel free to head over to that form and fill that out. Let us know, and we'll reach out with you with more information. Cool. All right. Enough of the usual stuff. Let's get into our first segment here. As I queued up something here. Where did it go? There we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story.
Everybody, we got some news.
Slow down, Boog. Let me handle this. We've got some news. I've got bad news
And bad news.
I have reviewed ship's personnel, Captain.
Congratulations, you've got mail.
Nothing is behaving
All
today.
right.
Technology is going to the shitter. So let's go on. All right, Todd.
All right. So our most famous Patreon member, Bob Koff, he sent us a message. I think it was, what was it, June 3rd, I think he sent it.
Yeah.
He said, another great podcast. Sorry I missed you guys when you were live, but sometimes life gets in the way, even for us old retired guys. He really likes to shove it in that he's retired.
Tired. He does.
He knows I want to retire, and he likes to always remind us that he's retired and I'm not. I'll definitely try to catch you guys for the next one. You said the 24-hour activation is September 7th and 8th, but on the calendar, that's Sunday, Monday. So I'm wondering if you meant 6th and 7th of September. So thanks, Bob. Yep, we were wrong. You were right. It's always good to have you checking us up on us, making sure we got our dates right. But yeah, it is the 6th and 7th Saturday. Probably going to start. I'm going to guess around noon and go to Sunday to around noon. That's probably how we'll do it.
Yeah.
So should be fun.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Definitely good to see a lot of the listeners and community members and folks, and we'll see a whole bunch of new faces because I know we have a bunch of newer guys that we've been hanging on with Northeast Ham Radio and whatnot that have all been super psyched that this is going to happen, and maybe we can get Izzo to cancel whatever his plans are for that weekend just to come hang out.
Right? Didn't he say he was working? I'm like, how do you know you're working on September? It's like 3 months away. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
But Bob, thank you for the mail. It's the first one in a long time. I think you were the last one to send us mail before that, right?
Nope. Maybe. Yeah, it was it.
Yeah, so much appreciated. Glad we got you on there again.
Although he did send something in the Patreon side that Paul's going to talk about because he was asking about some of his stuff. But we're going to dive to our next segment here.
What's up with Anyone OG Now? A segment where we catch up with Paul on his travels.
All right. Well, long overdue, but always super excited. If you have been under a rock or you just, have been disconnected from the internet or whatever, you probably haven't gotten the latest update from the great Grouch there. So, dude, take it away. You got a lot.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I had a fantastic weekend, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you did. The stamp is still there or no?
No.
You washed it off?
Washed off, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
But, yeah, I got a couple really good jumps in on Friday morning, and was able to satisfy the requirements in 26 jumps. The minimum is 25. And
wow.
I earned my A license in skydiving.
Nice. Woo. Nice. Sweet. Yeah. Parachute mobile, here we come.
I'll tell you, one of the coolest things, though, was being able to ditch that the student flight suit.
It was like
just be in my own clothes, that
was the cool. The red shirt in Star Trek.
And what I had on underneath the suit was perfect because it was my someday shirt.
Ah, nice. That was in the store still. It's Grouch Will Jump Someday, which is now going to have to be taken out of service because that's way, way gone.
It's going to be like Grouch's jumping every day.
I know, right? Yeah. Yeah, no, we have to finish
that. Limited edition now. That was limited edition now.
It is. Now I got to replace it with the three faces of Paul in his skydiving. We're gonna get that at the store, so that's coming soon. So sort of like how we have the three faces of Belichick, it's gonna be the three faces of Paul. When he skydives, but one of them's gonna be a really good one. So all right, cool. So nice, got the A license. Big party.
No, actually, I just kept jumping. And,
you didn't get the pie in the face?
No, didn't get the pie in the face. That's all right. No, I just kept jumping, trying to do learn belly formations, just being with other people, and working on that video right now. It was so cool. I got 31 in the log now.
Sweet.
That's awesome. Well, I saw that jump you had where you're kind of diving and your legs and the parachute got caught between your legs. Like, that's scary for me to watch that. Like, I just like, holy shit, I think he just died.
Okay.
Like, you were lucky on that one, dude. You pulled that chute. You were like upside down, like going straight down. That thing went right between your legs.
Yep.
And the fact
common casual. Yep.
The fact that he went back like right away to do another jump, like that would have been the end for me. I would have been like, nope, I'm done.
For us laymen, how many can you get in one day, Paul?
So for me, I think 5 is my max.
5. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I did 5 the other day, and just physically, I was exhausted.
Yeah.
So next year with the Greenfield State Park, it's kind of close to Pepperell, and I think Paul's going to do a 24-hour skydive jump while we do the POTA. He'll just keep jumping and jumping and jumping.
Keep going.
Can you have Paul jump in with the Live Free and Ham flag right into and then land right at the radio? That would be excellent.
Yeah.
That's actually, we should get one. We don't have a Live Free and Ham flag. So, put that in the notes.
Paul will be doing so we can get our 10 contacts. He'll just be jumping out on 2 meters with his like Carlos does. But no, congratulations, man. That's awesome. I'm so happy for you.
Yeah, dude.
It's been quite the adventure, and I can't wait to see like what else you're going to be doing.
I'm just gonna keep jumping. I gotta try and figure out. So
he's never coming back, boys. I'm telling you right now.
He's an Indiana boy now.
We may never see Paul again.
No,
in person.
Listen, I couldn't live here because I don't like the taxes. But there's a canopy course that I would need for my B license, and I could get my B license after 50 jumps. But I have to get that canopy course, and that canopy course is in July. But it's going to be like $700.
Just for the canopy course?
Well, it's the canopy course. It's 10 jumps. It's the gear rental, like, all the expenses combined.
Oh, so it includes the jumps and the gear?
Well, no. Like, it's all separate. I add it all up.
Yeah, so it's $700, but that's how much it is for everything.
I think sometimes you just it's like ham radio Groundhog Day over and over again when you're in the parachute, skydiving world. It's like, oh, you just more money? Okay, yeah, just repeat the day over and over and over again. It's like, wow, it's impressive, but my wallet's hurting, and it's not even in my back pocket.
Now, what do you get with the B license versus the A license? What's the benefits of it?
It's just your progression. So it's A, B, C, D.
It's just one more letter.
But it's not like your ham radio license where you get like more bands, or it's not like that. Like you can jump from a higher altitude, or
yeah, no. There's different things that you can do. I don't, on the top of my head, have it, ready to tell you, but
right.
Like, but the big thing is C, right, which is 200 jumps. That's when you can start getting into like, doing tandems and coaching and doing different things.
So I assume once you hit 200 jumps, Eric and Todd are going to go with you to celebrate.
There has been talk.
We're not going down.
Jump, right?
We'll be on the bottom and we'll be waving at them as he's floating down. I'm not jumping out of no airplane.
If I hear anybody repeat this statement, I will deny it and I will delete it out of the final video before it gets posted. But I said I would possibly consider doing a tandem. I know Paul can't give me the tandem, but I might consider it. But yeah, knowing his experience with a local skydiving place here, it's like renting from Hertz. Like you never want to go rent from Hertz ever again, kind of thing. So I don't know.
Did I understand, Paul? You're in Indiana for this skydiving training that you're doing?
Yeah, I'm in Rochelle, Indiana.
Okay. Traveled there for how long? Are you there for the skydiving stuff?
Well, I got here May 9th, and I just achieved my goal. I don't know. Right now, I'm just kind of winging it.
So he bought himself a trailer camper.
Okay. Yeah, I was looking for perspective. How the heck did you get out there, and how are you still there from May 9th?
Let's go all the way back, and let's talk about what instigated this thing, or who instigated this thing from the beginning. You can do it at the elevator pitch there, Paul. Right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can't completely blame Carlos.
No, but I like to. It's fun.
So, last year in April-May timeframe, we had Carlos K9OL on our show, and we talked to him about how he does parachute mobile. And so what he does is it's called a high pull, right? Where he jumps out at high altitude and pulls right away. Gives him a lot of time under canopy, and so then he'll deploy his HF antenna. He'll power up his rig and get on the air. And I always said someday I wanted to skydive. And he said, "Well,
he did say
I had always said, yeah." And Carlos agreed that he had also at one point said someday I wanted to skydive. But then his wife bought him tickets, and I was like, "Well, my wife isn't going to do that, so I'm just going to do it for myself." And so for my birthday, that's what I was going to do.
Nice.
And yeah, October 17th, after many reschedules, attempted live streams.
Oh my gosh.
I got the first tandem done, and I wanted to keep going.
The smile on his face, like his whole body was glowing, and you knew he was like totally addicted right then and there. Like, this guy is never going to stop this.
Awesome. Nope. Yep.
So it's been awesome to watch him go through, and he's posting his videos on his YouTube channel, and he'll tell us what's coming up. But when he said he got tangled up on one of them, and then I saw the video,
I heard that on the last episode. I was listening to the audio version. I was like,
yeah, I'm like, you didn't just get tangled up.
Yeah.
You're lucky you didn't come down like head first, like all tangled up by your feet.
Well, that's where you practice the emergency procedures.
Yep.
If it had been uncontrollable, I would have cut it away.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Unbeknownst the fact that you're heading towards air hangars and all the other things, there's plenty more shenanigans to happen.
I think I watched that part of the episode, by the way, Paul, and you did land between a couple of hangars, and you were aiming for like a soft spot, right? Like So it's a hell of a landing. That could have worked out,
but you made it.
That cost them $45 to get the patch put on. So did you ever fly with that chute again? With the patch chute?
After I took the packing class, and we unpacked that specific canopy so that I could see the patch, and then I packed it, and then jumped with it.
And he's still here to talk.
And you're still here to talk about it. That's good.
It was light there.
Impressed. It was a light tear.
It's only preventing you to fall to your doom. You're fine.
It's on the side, let's a little bit more.
It'll be fine.
So
no, the patch was perfect.
So what I've learned from this
as patches go, but yeah.
as a layman, you would think that just jumping out of a airplane and pulling the parachute, you just kind of float down and you can turn left or right, and you just kind of go with didn't realize that there's parachutes that go forward so many knots, and if the wind's going, you have to calculate that, and there's a lot more to it than just jumping out of an airplane. And especially when he was trying to learn how to keep stable, like you would think it'd be easy, right? But from listening to him and watching him, I was like, I don't think that's that easy.
Still, I got a long ways to go.
Well, I know, but even like from your first videos when they couldn't even get you like level, now you're just like you're doing flips and getting level and flips.
He's earned the title of Apostle Paul. I mean, we have Parachute Jesus for for Carlos there, so we got Apostle Paul, and we're all good.
Yeah, no, it's been awesome. So keep going.
Yeah.
What's the top license? A?
No, A is the bottom.
Oh, I mean D, E, or do you keep going?
after D, you become an examiner if you.
Oh, okay. See, now Paul said that he likes the canopy flying the best, and I'm convinced once he gets in a wingsuit, that's going to be the thing.
Hope he'll get him out of the sky.
I'm telling you, Paul. You get in that. You like the flying part of it. The wingsuit, you're flying. I'm telling you, that's going to be your
think,
thing.
Todd, you're volunteering for that tandem jump here.
I know, right? Exactly. You've already signed yourself up, so just
I feel like you're really in on this now.
You're committed.
Paul, you have a YouTube channel where you post all of these videos, right? Is that what I understand as well?
Yeah, it's the Grouch in New Hampshire.
Nice. All right, I have to go check out some more of those videos because I'm very.
I'm going to take a look for sure. I'm going to take. What is the weight on like all the gear and the chute and all that you're actually jumping with on top of your own body weight?
So I lost a little bit of weight since I've been here. So I'm 172 plus the gear. I'm right about 200.
Okay.
What's the heaviest you can be to jump out of an airplane and survive?
I don't know. Has anybody ever logged it?
I'm probably too heavy to jump out of an airplane. I'd be coming down like a bullet.
Now you're just trying to get out of it. I see what you're doing there, Todd.
I think I saw on the wall. It said 260.
I gotta lose some weight.
Is it like those signs that they have? You have to be this high to ride the ride, kind of thing. That's awesome.
You cannot exceed this weight.
This weight. Please step on the scale. Wow,
they do have scales.
That's a beautiful. That's definitely a humbling experience, I'm sure, for a lot of people. Oh, sorry, sir. You didn't. You should have had that latte, that extra latte.
Like, they're like, nope, you're not going.
No.
Well, so the tandem canopies are huge,
right?
Because they're designed to carry 2 people, but that's where like that you can't exceed the weight limit of the instructor and the student.
Can't be more than how much for them? What's that weight limit?
Like I don't know, but like I said, the sign on the wall said no one bigger than 260.
Yeah. So I just have to go there with a tandem parachute. That'd be my first.
So there's a third drag chute just for you, Todd, while you're in tandem mode. Okay.
Or 2 side by side coming down.
Yeah, I'm right at the limit, but that's okay. I'm not going, so that's fine.
Dude, you're 172. I was like 172 in high school when I was wet. I mean, I'm like not anywhere near that now. Like, oh my gosh, I wish I could be back down to that weight.
Well, I try to maintain 180, but it gets hard, when most of my food is pasta and canned stuff.
Yep, true. You're defeating that.
It's camper food, It's easy. It's easy.
It's just sodium. You'll be fine. You'll lose it.
Yeah, good. On the way down, just sweat it out. All right, cool. Well, good deal on that one. Like as Todd said, congratulations for getting that Class A, and we're looking forward to seeing what's going on. I know if you're gonna be in the Huntsville area, during Huntsville, a certain other individual might be jumping too. I won't say who, or it might be in this crowd, but there talks of that.
Oh, definitely, I'm jumping.
Okay, so there you go. You might be able to get an N1OG 2-meter contact. So once again, I'll have to wait to get up this way. But hey,
can you wear cameras now as an A? Oh, you can't. What do you have to be?
So the stipulation for cameras is 50 minimum, 200 is recommended, and you have to demonstrate that you can handle and be proficient in all of the skills. Because the camera is an added distraction. They want to make sure that you're going to be comfortable and not distracted by it.
So
even like your GoPro or whatever?
Yeah.
So if you're going to shoot for your 50, I will personally ship you down an Insta360. If you got your 50, if that's the minimum, or you need to get above it, let me know, and I'll ship you a 360. You can have it because I want to see that damn footage. That would be freaking awesome.
Eric is the hardware fairy here, just like James is our hardware fairy. Whenever we need something, James is like, shit, I can just pull that out of my closet and get it for you.
Yep.
You need some microphones? A GoPro? Here we go.
Ironically, I have a 360, so I could just go upstairs and get that out of the closet.
Of course you do.
Shocking. I'm shocked.
Well, and that's like you just never know who's going to need it. That's the way I look at it.
You always got to be prepared.
Yeah, right. I say I want to be prepared, but the guy, OG here is Mr. Preparedness. So like you ask him for, can you bring out a suture kit? Yeah, sure. He's got 3 of them.
Yeah. Nice. I mean, when you're that calm while falling from the sky, twisted up, I'm guessing you're pretty well prepared.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Try to.
In that regard, everyone has their specialties, I suppose. So that's fine.
I will say this though, I had a lot of mental barriers to overcome in skydiving, like much more than physical. Like just kind of, I'd overthink things in my head, and then when you're in free fall, it's better if you don't overthink it. You just kind of relax, and so I'd tense up and I'd start spinning and doing shit that I didn't want to do.
It sounds like you're doing great.
Yeah, they're like, just relax as you're plummeting to the earth.
Yeah,
just relax, it'll be fine.
Yeah, but that's just it, though. The more you can relax, the better it is.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever tried to tell a crazy person to relax? No, they just don't. So yeah, I give you credit, man. You developed this edge.
All right, here's another Carloism. Right? He said to me, the ultimate is if you are relaxed enough that you can fart in free fall.
Dude, he needs to put these things on T-shirts. This is like gold. I don't know why he doesn't do that.
Can fart in free fall.
How do you know?
If that's a training measure,
don't
if that's a way they train you, I'm not sure. That's interesting. Does that get in the book?
Well, you hit the taco place before you jump, and then you're good to go, right?
You scare myself, really.
Yep. Wow. Yeah. Do they have a taco cut there at the at the drop zone?
There is a really good taco truck right down the street.
Of course. That's exactly where I picked that same phrase up. That's awesome.
I love it.
Oh man, cool. All right. Well, hey, I know there was one question. Bob Koff did have it, and did you want to answer that? Because he posted it in Patreon, and I want to make sure we got it.
Sure. So Bob's question was determining the spacing between people exiting the aircraft, and so we follow the acronym called SPACE, and so the S is for skydivers, and so the pilot announces the ground speed before everybody starts exiting. So based on the ground speed how long you need to wait. And so if you've got a 7-second pause between once the group before you exits, you can wait kind of 1, 2, 3, then kind of get set up in the door, 4, 5, 6, then you're ready, set, go. And it just keeps the timing good so that everybody gets to be where they want to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not jumping in somebody's back pocket. Cool. All right. Well, dude, that's awesome. Thank you for Bob submitting that question. And, hey, if you got more skydiving questions or even ham radio questions, hey, whatever, all is good, send it our way. We always love to hear from our listeners. And, thank you again, Bob, for sending it on through. So, all right, Todd, you ready?
No.
Good.
Do it anyway.
It's everyone's favorite segment.
And now, a little something extra with Todd. W1STJ.
Still a general.
All right. Okay. Well, you've heard it here. This is what we do every week. We help Todd study for his extra class license. So each episode, we pick 3 questions from that extra class question pool to test his knowledge and hope he gets his upgrade. Please, someday. It's coming. I know. I feel it deep. So, if you'd like to follow along, you can head over to hamstudy.org. It's a great resource and helps you prepare for your test, and is recommended by 4 out of 4 VE examiners because the ARRL is never around to answer any of my questions or comments. So without further delay, hand it over to our VE Quizmaster and Apostle Paul. Take it away.
All right, Todd. Question number 1 of this evening comes from sub-element number 7. How does a switch mode voltage regulator work? Is it A, by switching between 2 Zener diode reference voltages? B, by varying the conductivity of a pass element. C, by varying the duty cycle of pulses input to a filter. Or D, by alternating the output between positive and negative voltages.
You've had this one before, my friend.
I know. I think it's D.
Oh, yeah.
No.
It's not D.
I'm positive it's A, but James.
I was guessing C on this one, but
that was my second guess. Is C.
I was guessing C on this one. I'm also Todd, a general, and Rory is too. So we need all the practice we can get, buddy.
There you go.
We're probably gonna get this wrong.
I'm going A.
Yeah, I'm with Rory there, or Murray.
All right.
All right, Todd. Final answer.
D.
Oh. All right.
Is it A?
Oh no!
Okay.
It's C, is it? It's always C.
There you go, Jim. That was my second guess. I was like, it's
duty cycle when I think of switch mode, right? Like switching on and off. So that's how I always remember that particular question, right?
Jim,
Switch
here's
on and off.
Jim, this one is a memory aid that you should be able to remember. Look at that.
Which truck has S mode? Oh, see, this is the super. This is the one I hated.
Super
that
Duty.
I never understood. I'm not a Ford guy. So what's the Super Duty S mode?
S mode is sport mode in the Super Duty, which is hilarious because there's nothing sporty about a Super Duty. It weighs about 18 tons and it gets about 6 miles to a gallon and it goes about 6 miles an hour. So yeah, I have an F350. It's a great pig to drive around town at 15 miles an hour.
You're pulling a float in a parade.
That's right. If you need to pull 16 stumps out with it, you're good to go.
All right. Well, I know who to call.
All right. Here we go. Question number 2 from sub-element number 1. What is the maximum bandwidth for a data emission on 60 meters? Is it A, 170 hertz, B, 2.8 kilohertz, C, 60 hertz, or D, 1.5 kilohertz?
Everyone should do this one.
Oh my! It's
I don't know.
Yeah, B or D is the one's ringing a bell, but I can't remember what it is.
Data emissions.
Yeah, so that's like FT8, PSK, that type of stuff.
I'm gonna go with B.
Yeah, see, 2.8 is. Yeah, D.
You guys suck.
D is right. Oh man, don't get
go, John. Celebrate your accomplishment.
Yeah, he's gonna bomb the next one on purpose.
Damn song.
So yeah,
Yes.
maximum bandwidth for data emission on 60 meters is 2.8.
Aren't all the channels, all the 6 channels or 5 channels on 62.8? Is that what it is? Yeah.
Yes.
Of course.
I want to be centered.
I have no choice. My radio won't allow me to go anywhere except center.
All right. For the third and final question of the evening from sub-element number 4, how much does increasing a receiver's bandwidth from 50 hertz to 1000 hertz increase the receiver's noise floor? Is it A,
We had this one before.
13 dB, B, 10
Had them all before.
C, 3 dB, or is it D, 5 dB? And yes, you just recently had
We had this one. That's why I was like, it triggered.
I think it's A.
I think you're right, sir.
I said B. I was way off.
B too.
I was going B.
This is the one long formula that we all go through that Paul reads, and I feel bad because he reads the whole entire thing. I was like, I don't care whatever it is. 13 dB, I'll just memorize it.
That's a memory question.
Okay, I was going to say, funny hint. It's unlucky to be. Oh, so it's just a memory.
Yeah, it's just a memory.
Let me ask you something. Do you pick these, or are you just randomly picking them up?
No, they're random.
So why do I keep getting the same ones?
Because remember how he said they were smart, and it makes you relearn them.
Yeah, but it goes based off of what you've seen and what you've answered right.
Oh, okay. I got it.
It's such a good tool. It goes back through the pool and it tries to give you the ones you get wrong more frequently. Right. So you get them
stuck in your head. Yeah. All right. That's 2. Are we going for 4 now?
Oh, man.
No.
Charts.
Well, dude, you got to play the song.
Hold on. There it is.
Thank you, Meatloaf. We appreciate you. All right. Well, as always, if you're on the journey to studying for your technician general or extra class license, then hampstudy.org is a wonderful resource because it grills you hard when you don't get a certain sub-element the right and dead 100%, or you're proficient in it. It'll work you hard on it until you do. So if you've recently received maybe your license or you've gotten an upgrade, we want to know. Do we have anybody that you bumped into at all, Paul, that's recently upgraded? I haven't seen anything in the Discord at all either.
I saw one on Reddit, but they didn't post their call sign.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, if you get your upgrade, or any one of these guys down here are generals. If you guys get your upgrade, send it in to us. Let us know. We want to celebrate with you. We want to rejoice. We want to give you the recognition because going from general to extra, or even technician to general, is a big, tough leap sometimes, and it's a lot of memorization or just a lot of repetition. But once you get there, you got to rejoice and you got to just be happy that you got there because you got a whole bunch of privileges you might have had before. Get out there and have some fun. So awesome. All right. Well, with that, let's finally get into something around here. So, we always do our ham radio catch up. So with us, always, we've got 3 guests here. So we're going to start with those guys first. So Rory, how is your ham radio or not ham radio week been?
It was a busy ham radio week. We had our local repeater here in South Lyon, Michigan, needed a little bit of a checkup, and I mentioned before the show our friend Steve in town here is our chief engineer for the club, and we went over there with Jim and myself, and we had to go take a look at what was happening with our internet connection. So that took a good chunk of one of the mornings out of the week, and that's always a good time. Turned out to be a lousy cellular connection, which is what we have to use to get internet at the location. But I won't bore you with the details there. But that was
no Uncle Elon at all. You didn't want to subscribe to him.
No, we have cheapy T-Mobile that we squeak every little bandwidth out of their $10. We don't use hardly any internet package because All-Star doesn't use much bandwidth at all. So so that was the second most exciting thing for the week. But first most exciting, I'll leave to the other two because they were both there.
You can speak in third person though. It's up to you. All right. Well, cool. Good on the repeater stuff. Question with the repeater: how big is your coverage area for your club?
Probably 25 miles each direction, 35 miles each direction. Wow. We're at the top of a water tower in a town that's high elevation to start with. So we have a lot on our side. Yep. We're one of the probably just barely the second highest general town. In the Metro Detroit area, we're almost the highest area. So that helps us out a lot. We get straight into Detroit, no problem, which is probably about 30 miles downtown to the riverfront. And then north, we struggle. There's some terrain against us, but south, we do well, and west, we do fairly well as well. So good repeater coverage on 2 meter for us.
Yeah, about as high as can be for the lower peninsula of Michigan.
And curious, what's the height above average terrain for you guys for that?
I believe at the water tower, it's 1050.
Wow. Holy crap. That's nice. Yeah, our repeater sits at right around 8, 10, and we have really bad coverage to the west of us and everything else like that. But we got straight coverage almost all the way down to the end of into Massachusetts. It's like all of us are from New Hampshire. We don't go that far down. Like, why do we have coverage that far? Like, no one ever calls us that far. So we need to make some adjustments for sure. But yeah, cool, good on that. Always interested in hearing the repeater stories because they those guys are the unsung heroes, man. They only get called when the crap hits the fan and people, and my repeater ain't working and I can't make a contact. And so, yeah.
Is it safe to say that it might be at this point a bit of a lost art, repeater maintenance and
Sure
repeater
is.
building
It is,
at this
dude.
point,
It
right?
is. Yeah.
They've existed for so long online at this point that the folks that are using them, right, brand new techs, enjoying talking on VHF, right, or UHF, wherever they are using these machines that have 50-plus-year-old hardware, right, and we're limping them along on replacements that have been in somebody's basement waiting to be deployed. So I do. That's why we appreciate Steve, N8AR. Steve is the gentleman that Rory alluded to earlier. He's our man that understands all this stuff, and we are trying to, by osmosis, learn it before Steve decides that he's done with repeater maintenance for the club.
And we appreciate Rory, also our club's technical director or committee chair there. So
I suppose.
So, yeah, he hears all the feedback then, good, mostly bad, nothing good.
Well, the good thing about me, though, is you can give me bad feedback and I'll pretty much give you bad feedback about your feedback. So it's not really a concern to me, but yeah, no, Jim and I are really trying hard to get as much as we can learn from Steve. Steve's already 81. So he's a young 81. You would never guess it by the way he moves or does anything. You would never guess it, but, we know, and he knows that his time's limited with
time to pass it on
things. So he's looking to pass on all the information and all the stuff. He has a basement of stuff too. So that's the fun thing.
An amazing collection of stuff.
When we need parts, his
probably
basement, that's probably there. So it's always good.
That's awesome. Yeah, we've got similar scenario with our repeater owner, repeater manager, trustee kind of thing, and he's realized the same thing. It's like his time's coming up. He wants to kind of retire, so time to start passing the torch on and the experience and knowledge, because, like you said, it's a dying art.
It is, absolutely. Yeah, the hardware is not cheap, but it's probably plentiful if you know the right person. That's always what we say. There's a secret league of repeater owners and repeater maintainers, and if you know the right guy, they're probably happy to fill your basement with all their shit so that you can move on from it.
Well, the excellent thing, especially in the Metro Detroit area, is more to the east. There's a group of repeater operators that all happen to also be. Their daytime job is the public safety radio system.
So they do it all.
So there's a lot of stuff that's falling off of trucks and aging out in those systems that they don't keep for themselves. If I were to put the word out to one of those guys saying, us little club over here is looking for an item, they'll keep their eyes open for it. So we're surrounded by a pretty cool group of people in the Southeast Michigan area for sure.
We sure are. Yeah,
dude, that's awesome. The funny thing with clubs, at least here in the Northeast, we're getting farther away from the idea that we don't own a special area of ham radio. Everybody does ham radio, so like, why do we wall us off from other people? And they're starting to kind of share stuff. So that's always a good thing if you guys already have that in place. And
we've done a pretty good job of that over the last few years of definitely breaking down some of those silos of the different clubs and. We all communicate and support each other, Hamfest, repeater work, anything. And
awesome.
It's honestly been really productive. So if you're out there.
I gave a story on our show about a repeater just to the north, closer to Flint, Michigan. What was the story there, Jim or James? Was it wind or was it part of the ice storm? I don't remember. It was a storm that came through.
It was the same day as the ice storm that destroyed northern Lower Peninsula Michigan, but the wind. The wind was what got them there.
So, Lapeer Amateur Radio Club, their tower was, full loss, complete loss, and the neighboring club had them back up on the air in less than 24 hours at one of their sites. So, it's that's kind of how it rolls, which is cool.
Dude, it's awesome. Well, cool. Thank you for sharing that. It's always good to see that clubs are investing in their technology and making sure that they it stands the test of time. And I'm excited to learn more for sure. But awesome. Well, hey, cool. Thank you. So, James, over to you. How was your Ham Radio Week?
Ham Radio Week was busy. So the same as the other two members here, I actually help organize the Michigan POTA meetup in conjunction with a few other individuals, but also Mike W8MSC and Mark K8MST. They were both POTA board members. So we use this as an opportunity to sort of pilot how meetups would function, as well as kind of get the word out there locally and what's going on in Michigan. Great event. We hosted it in Fort Custer State Recreation Area, so near Battle Creek, Michigan. So let me be a Michigander here and bust out the map. So if this is the Detroit area, it was over here. It was a great turnout. Everyone that came. So if you're listening, thank you. I know this is a New Hampshire podcast, but just in case, thank you for showing up.
Northeast, we're everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's the internet. I just figure it's everywhere. But about 100 individuals show up.
Whoa!
So really,
crap.
yeah,
It was a big
heck of a
turnout.
turnout. Yeah.
Yeah.
Couldn't ask for more. The SMARS, so South. I'm going to butcher the club's acronym. I know it as SMARS.
Southern Michigan Amateur Radio Society.
Yeah.
Area. There's an area.
Make sure you say society, otherwise they get very mad at you. You got to say society.
Yeah, it was their home park. So when we got there to set up, even they were already there.
They're territorial. Wow, I didn't know they were that bad in Michigan. we don't own parks around here in the Northeast,
Hey, they welcomed us with open arms, so I can't complain too badly there. But they had their antennas already up. Their tent was booming out there, getting the CQ POTA.
At 400 watts, by the way.
What? Oh my! Okay,
they got an amp out there with 400 watts.
They were.
Now you've gotten me a little. You ruffled my feathers a little bit. I can't stand that. I am a POTA purist sometimes, and there are a couple of guys in Vermont that do this. They have a trailer and they wheel their kilowatt amp with them to a POTA park. I'm like, dude, it's like you're bringing. I don't know what the analogy I want to use for this one. It's got to be really big because it's unfair. It's like literally just.
It's like
there's no limit if it's not legal limit, buddy.
No,
1,500 watts.
Whatever. To kick you out.
I'm with you, Eric.
If you can do it, why not?
Yeah. Hey, save some POTA for the rest of
dude,
it. Case,
because it's like the same guys who sit on 7.200. They think they own the frequency. Come on, please. It's like they don't.
Tell you that they do.
They will. That's true.
So just that club I just pulled up on the POTA website. That club call has 15,660 QSOs at that park. So they're
there every Saturday
for the last 2 years.
Saturday. Non-stop, like clockwork.
Wow,
winter as well, which Michigan has some fun days during the winter. I'm sure you guys know.
Dude, we're doing it all wrong with our club because we meet in a barn on Saturday mornings. We should be freaking at the park every Saturday. Man,
dude, I've been saying that shit for well over a year.
Yeah, I know. Right. Well, why aren't you out there in the middle of the New England freezing cold there? They're operating.
I'll talk to Smars. Get yourself an ice shanty. Set it up there in the park.
He does,
dude.
Fine.
Yeah,
I can't. Yeah, I was gonna say I can't crack on OG there. He's our winter guy. I mean, he's the first one that when I did winter field day as a coordinator, I was like, I'm not gonna be there. I'll come and operate in the middle of the day. I'm not staying over. And he's like, dude, I'm ready to set up. And and he had everything.
You go into his little ice hut shack for the winter field day, and you got to strip down to your underwear and t-shirt.
It's a sweat house, sweat lodge.
It's sauna and radio. It's a
but
new,
dude, if it's not the heat that's going to get you, it's the whiskey or the bourbon that he's already cracked out 3 or 4 bottles on.
It's like a horrible time, guys. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, right. Maybe I'm doing POTA wrong. Even that sounds pretty good,
dude. You got to catch one of his live streams. Actually, head over his channel, check out his POTA live stream he did for Winterfield Day, and you'll see it was 2.5 hours, and it was like, dude, this is from the moment he started to the moment he ended. It was just like, oh, dude, I hung on to every word and watched every minute of it. I've never watched a live stream this long.
Our club's a little spoiled because we rent a cabin for field day, both winter and park in Brighton State Park. Outside Metro Detroit as well. It's a lot of fun. Double credit for POTA, but compared to an ice shanty, we're doing pretty well for ourselves.
Oh yeah. Pretty. Throw a little log on the fire and let me take my sweatshirt off, kind of thing.
Yeah. Other than this year, all our masks got with ice storm kind of rolled through, and all our fiberglass masks got frozen together. So Jim had to bust out his diesel heater for about an hour, just slowly twisting mask closed. But we made it work.
Basically, a diesel-powered air dryer to melt your mast. Yeah, that's good.
So when you ran out of wood, you basically just cracked out the old Hammerlins and fired up the the 1 kilowatt to heat the room kind of thing. Right, exactly.
We're a little spoiled. We're not gonna
kidding.
But, awesome, busy week.
It was.
Well, so I got to ask though first, in terms of actually participating in the POTA event, were you more of the kind of coordinator, chief summarizer and chief, management, or you actually get in there and
Chief
activate?
motivator, as we like to call it.
Or whatever, yeah.
I would say we all did a lot. All the organizers definitely chipped in, and we did our share. On the day of, though, I was what I do. We helped. We had a lot of participation, and I would like to also thank our local South Lion Club because they came out in force. Even not part of the organizers, but they were all there with their just helping out with everything you can. But yeah, we set up, we cooked, we tore down, we socialized, we did a raffle, which was awesome. And, so I didn't get any activations in actually that weekend, but it was worth it in the end.
Are you serious? You didn't get a single activation in at Fort Custer?
I didn't have a chance. No, it was busy. So
how many stations you guys run? Just one?
No,
So
there was.
It was another field day then.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, everyone set up. There was a hodgepodge of stations. Everyone brought their own equipment.
Oh, I hate
and they
that.
were setting up and then kind of coordinating. So it got a little chaotic sometimes with the bands, but it worked
Your
out.
band pass filter cannot help you here.
No. But there was a lot of CW, a lot of old World War II radios as well.
Oh my gosh.
Vietnam radios. Yeah, it was.
Wow.
People brought out their
show and
toys.
tell.
There were lots of vans of stuff. It was interesting.
A lot of camper vans packed
Yeah.
out with radio stuff. It was. I mean, for show and tell, there was a lot of new first-time POTA people that also came.
Yes.
So for them, they were walking around and they came up to talk to me afterwards. They're like, "This is everything I was hoping it would be to learn about POTA, because I can walk from station to station to station and see something new and talk to the people and how they're operating and what their experiences are." It was, couldn't ask for better, honestly.
Man, I thought we were doing good with like 40 people at one of our fall POTAs and whatnot. But then I was like, man, you guys put us to shame like 4 times over. It's like, at that point, I'm just going to take my radio and go home.
Listen, I was going to be, I told myself I'm happy with 50. So that exceeded expectations.
Oh,
So that was
yeah, wow.
This is the second year of the event. It's also worth saying out loud, right? So the first year of the event was somewhere around 40 or 50. And if you do build it, folks show up the next year knowing what to expect, right? And then they invite their buddies, right? And say, hey, it's worth making the trek for the weekend.
Yeah,
so.
we had some good lessons learned as well, and picking the location. So, but if anyone's out there trying to plan their own meetup for their state, county, city, whatever, hit us up. We're happy to help you out.
Yeah, it's funny. With our club, I do most of our POTA meetups, or I've kind of started the process, and we do basically during Sports Park weekend. So because that's the guarantee that you bring a new ham in, they're gonna get a contact. It's easy.
Absolutely.
It's
Someone's
like
out there
pretty
working
much
them.
shooting fish in a barrel, right? Unless
not
you
this
did
year.
last. Yeah, I was gonna say you did last spring Sports Park weekend. My God, these guys, they were on one of the biggest mountains in the New England, New Hampshire area, Temple Mountain, and they couldn't even barely scrape together 4 contacts. The bands were just so.
Wow.
Oh, it was bad. I felt bad. Like they ended up just grabbing the HTs and making peer-to-peer contacts, because that's the only way they could get 10 to be able to get the the park activated. So yeah, that was a tough scenario for them. But yeah, dude, it's awesome. I love the POTA meetups.
Yeah,
So.
it was a lot of fun. I wouldn't complain. And also shout out to Shane. He was a big volunteer
KFABWN.
that did absolutely everything to help us there at the meetup that day. So
Shane always does everything to help. Shane's just one of those people. He's helping us. He started to help us on the back end of our podcast, even. So it's he's a big helper. So
cool.
I do like calling them peer-to-peer contacts. I'll say that.
Yeah.
What do you really call the ones in the park?
How are we rated here? Are we family friendly or what?
You can drop the F-bomb all you want. No big deal.
Okay, so then we're okay. I call it the POTA circle jerk.
That kind of works. I like that one too, depending on what environment I'm in. Yeah.
So true. So true.
That's great.
Yeah.
Great.
That's another T-shirt idea. I like that.
And I am not a fan of that. I avoid that at all costs. But I will admit, both of my activations at Fort Custer this weekend were
on 2 meter FM.
Well, one was after 8 o'clock, after midnight Zulu. The second one was all 6 meters simplex. So I did get a full 52.525 FM simplex activation with us sitting around the campfire at Jim's campsite. So yeah.
We had a couple of contacts on 7.200 sitting around a campfire, but yeah, another story for another day.
Light them up.
Nice.
Light them up. That and 14.313. Light them up.
Or 14.300 if you're so daring. But anyway,
I'm not daring. Those poor guys. Those poor guys suffer enough. I leave them alone.
I usually sit at 14.299. But anyway, that's another story for another day.
It's just a sideband.
Exactly right. There's plenty of frequency space the way I look at it. Anyway. All right. Well, over to you, Jim. How was your ham radio week?
Yeah, I mean, James pretty much recapped it for me. We were at Michigan POTA meetup. I went out not as an organizer, mostly as a supporter and somebody to play a little bit. It was me, the dog, and a 35-foot trailer this weekend, so it was overkill. We were living in style. We had the air conditioning on. And we were sitting at the table trying to make the FTX1 Optima work for us. And I'll tell you what, that thing is a piece of junk. And I, this morning, called HR up and I sent it back. So
see, that's a skydiving face of the N1OG right there. That's going on the T-shirt. But anyway, that's the same.
It's funny that skydiving and hearing that the new Yaesu radio is complete garbage makes me equally happy.
I know exactly, right?
Gremlins. That radio has gremlins.
I'm kidding a little bit for dramatic effect,
right?
But we did give a pretty fair piece of feedback on the Everyday Ham podcast, which is where Jim, James, and Rory and I come from, and we did try to give a little bit of a review. But I did take it back out and gave it one more shot over the weekend. I thought, you know what?
You were trying hard with it too.
That's
really
right.
were.
I thought I'm going to take it back out. We're going to take it to Michigan POTA meetup. I know there are people there that can hear me, right? And we're going to try to activate. I did get an activation on Friday evening, a real activation on 40 meter. I talked to a number of our Canadian friends up here in Michigan. Easy to get to. I'm sure you guys over in the Northeast can also talk into Canada easily in most cases, right? And so had a number of contacts, had some good conversations, folks that recognized the call and said, "Hey, we love the podcast," right? I'm sure you guys run into that as well. And we had fun with it on Friday, but Saturday morning fired it back up, and the gremlins were there again on 20 meter, man. And I finally said, somebody else run it. Let me know if I'm crazy. And I had too many people telling me you ought just send it back. And so I said, fine, I will call HRO on Monday. We will ask them whether or not this is a fair defect return.
Wow.
And I did send her back. So I don't know. Yeah. You know, it's a little tie into our own pod for promotional purposes, but at the same time, I do think that is, I've been fretting about it for a couple of weeks now, right? It got delivered right when they launched, right after Hamvention. It's been the biggest news in ham radio for like a couple of months at this point.
Big news.
Big news, right? And we were just, James and I both stoked about it, and unfortunately, it just didn't work for us. I don't know if we got a couple of poor setups or what. I imagine they'll figure it out at some point. They've got enough money invested. But that's me and ham radio this week. Worked with Rory on repeater maintenance. It was a blast. We always enjoy working with Steve. Got to do a little POTA support. Did a lot more playing with the dog and activating than I did actual supporting the park this weekend. But hey, had a blast doing it, and that's okay. Nice. So that was me in a short blip.
I will say only one thing, and I'm not going to go on a rant. I agree 100%, and I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to wait for the 3F to come out whenever that does. You know, so
what, FTX1 XDR or whatever.
Yeah, right. 1B.
Yeah,
the 1Z is my preferred version with all of the right enhancements, but we won't go there.
I mean, Jim and I have been very open about it. We've had a lot of the same issues in two separate radios, 12 serial numbers apart.
Well, and dude, you guys confirmed it for me. That's what stopped me from. Well, my DX10 is still up for sale, but I'm going to just hold the cash for something else.
I made the mistake, Eric. I made the mistake of quickly selling mine right when they launched.
Well, I have one available if you're interested in purchasing one. It's a beautiful, great radio. You can check it out. I'll send you the link for it. It's up on a couple of the Discords there. But
do we get a friends and family discount or?
We can talk. We won't talk numbers on this show, but we'll talk offline. I'm happy to work out a good deal for you.
During the swap and shop segment, we never talk numbers on the air. Right?
Phone, mail, or email.
That's right. Phone, mail, or email.
Yeah,
we still have a 40-year-old line in our Sunday night net that says that. Send your stuff by phone, mail, or email. No prices over the air. That still is in there.
But I will say, Eric, I did make that move. I thought, I'll sell my DX10, and then I'll just get this thing on order, and I'll be ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
The gentleman that has my DX10 has said that when he brings it to field day, he hopes I don't abscond.
Yeah, local club member, a friend of ours.
He has it. He got a great deal on it, by the way.
Dude, I love my DX10. First radio, long story short. But in essence, it sits in a box in my storage room, and I have not taken. Because the problem is our club has 4 of them. So Todd's got one. Everybody's so I can't bring mine out and set it up, and I'm not taking it on POTA, so it just sits there. And I take it out every once in a while to see if it actually fires up, just to make sure it's still working. But outside of that, like, it's like, I'm the, and I've voiced this on the podcast. I'm the guy who does not collect radios. Like if it's not getting used, find a new home for it. Simple as that.
I'm somewhere in the middle, Eric. I'll tell you that. I have 17 handhelds. I think it's 16 now because I sold one at the meetup this weekend.
Somewhere in the middle.
But as far as like other ridiculousness,
there's other stuff Jim will liquidate immediately. That's the thing. He has all those handhelds sitting there, but other stuff's out the door as soon as it doesn't have a use.
Jim is Mr. Swap Meet. He will buy, sell, and trade anything.
Do you want me to make you feel better, Jim? Because we have our club president, Ralph, KC1TLY.
Okay.
He has over 34 Quanchangs, all HTs.
Oh God.
So you're way below that number. So you're okay. You haven't gotten to the criticality of critical mass kind of state, but you're bordering.
Don't give him a target to try to.
Is he just buying more and more to find one that's actually stable? What's he trying to do?
He just buys them the same one. Oh, it's cheaper. It's $10 today. So buy another one. And
I mean, I'm not far behind on handhelds. I think I'm at 14 or something, but I've never sold one that I
You have two hands. How many more do you have?
I've never sold a handheld that I own. So
it's like watching Spinal Tap. Don't touch this one. It goes to 11. Come on.
I joke. It's like old people. They put reading glasses in every room. I have HTs in every room. So
oh my gosh, in the bathroom. I do not want to have answer my call.
Well, you're taking a dump. I mean,
there is neither bathroom in this house has a handheld in it, nor reading glasses. So that's fair.
Thank you.
Yeah. But you mentioned Eric
want to see my ham radio?
No,
I don't. I love that one.
You mentioned not taking a DX10 out for POTA, Eric. That is Jim's POTA rig. He takes that battery hungry heavy thing out.
Oh my God! I do POTA with DX10. There's a lot of guys that POTA with 7300s, and let me tell you what: if you put them next to one another, really not that much heavier. I mean, an extra 2 pounds. If I'm already going to put it in the back of the F350 and drive 15 miles and over the park, right? Like.
I mean, you already have the
doesn't put that F350 over the weight limit on the legal road.
Probably. I'll tell you what's over the weight limit is the battery pack that I need for it. So
I'll field day with the 7300, but I won't POTA with it.
You won't POTA with it. All right.
891s.
I was going to say, are you 891 across the board?
That's Rory and I.
Yeah, okay. Rory and James too.
I love it. I love it so much. I bought 2 of them. So it's kind of the way it goes.
James is on the same.
Too. I got one in my mobile and one in my my POTA bag.
Yeah, I'll have 2 at some point because the one is going to get mounted in the front of the mobile. So that'll happen. I'll need 2. Can't have the inconvenience of having to take it out of the car. So
that was supposed to be the FTX1, but it failed. So.
That is true.
No, it was never intended to be that. So don't get me going. Stop. Just cut it off here.
We need a special episode one day.
I know, right? I'll just come. You can invite me on directly, just as N1JUR. We'll just talk at 1F the whole entire time, and Paul could be in the chat telling me I'm a total ass. But anyway.
We're having a little fun at Yesu's expense. It's okay. The 891 killer.
We do like Yesu products too. But the FTX1.
That is
tough sell.
All right. Well, let's hold this for later. So Todd, how was your ham radio week, real quick?
I forgot we were still running a segment.
I know, right? We're still in a segment, right? Yeah. That's what happens. Our rabbit holes get held.
So back on the Yesu radios, I am purchasing a Yesu 510. I sold my 400 and put my 300 in my shack. I purchased a new Jeep and figured if you get a new Jeep, probably need a new radio and
Wrangler.
Yeah,
second Jeep.
JL.
Yeah, I got the
new Jeep or like a old new Jeep.
No, like new Jeep. It's the hybrid one. So
okay.
I was getting I was paying like $100 a week to commute to work, and now I've only done 700 miles, and I've only used a quarter tank of gas.
Yeah, I mean we're clearly a Detroit Motor City here, but the 4XE it's actually pretty nice.
Yeah, it's pretty. The more I drive it and understand it, it actually is. It's a pretty good idea on how it works, and it's got 375 horsepower, so it moves.
Compared to most Wranglers, it definitely.
Yeah, exactly right. Well, if it's not blowing a head gasket.
Yeah, for a Wrangler. I mean, the one I had before was it was a Willys. It was a 6-speed, on a 6-cylinder. So it really didn't have a lot going for it. And this one, and because it's got these huge ass batteries under the back seats, it really handles better. So when you're going off long off ramps, like with curves, you don't feel like you're going to tip over. So I was like, oh, that's pretty good.
An unintended safety benefit there. Yeah.
And they had crazy incentives, like $20,000 off the top, like just right off the top. And then the guy's like, oh, we're having employee pricing. And it was like too good to be true. And I'm like, all right, I'll go for it. And I'm glad I did. I love it. It's been good. So putting in a new radio, sold my 400, shipped it out today, and probably buy it either tomorrow or Wednesday. I just got to get down to HRO.
So you didn't want the 500?
No, dude, you wanted the ASP option.
Yeah, the ASP. Because, all those guys in our club that use those damn Quanshangs that I can never hear them. So
I'll tell you what, it does a hell of a job pulling out the intelligible signal from garbage. The 510 ASP does. It doesn't sound like something I want to listen to all day long, but if I can't hear the person and I can still have a conversation with them, it certainly does work. I have a 510 ASP that I bought at Dayton Hamvention. In fact, I sold my 400, sold another 500, and I've got 2 500s and a 510. And I'm actually pretty impressed.
Are you an HRO distributor? Like, I mean, you have so many freaking brands.
He loves HRO.
Is there one in Michigan? I actually should ask that question.
There is not. I deal with Milwaukee.
Dude, you'd be screwed. You would be poor and in debt if you lived here in New England, because literally we have one in Salem that's literally half an hour away.
So tempting. So tempting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, when we went over to pick up our camper, we're in Pewaukee, Wisconsin. It was 30 minutes away, but the traffic in Chicago at that hour, I couldn't get up there, and I still regret my decision not to stop by and buy something I didn't need.
How far is this HRO from the 24-hour POTA event?
It'll be about an hour away.
Not even 45 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And actually, you can fly into Manchester, go south to Salem, where it is, and then drive north to the park. Yeah.
So if you fly into Manchester and you drive to HRO, it's 20 minutes.
Oh,
perfect.
Yeah,
perfect. It's dangerous.
Put it on the list, Jim. Put it on the list.
So besides that ASP stuff, I also like that it had a speaker in the head.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what I had done with my Jeep is I had the radio underneath the seat, and I couldn't hear anything because Jeeps are kind of loud and whatever. Yeah. So I got this mount that went across my the back of my headrest. It was like an arm, and I had a little speaker on it.
Oh,
well, it was cool. Like it worked. It was good until I reached something back, and then I'd rip out the wire, or I'd get it. A thing would fall off, or I'd bend it, and I was like,
I'm not gonna lie. I was just looking at that as an option because I have my 400 mounted in the Jeep, and then I did run an external speaker to the passenger footwell. But my kids keep kicking it.
Yeah.
So it's not working well.
So this thing worked. It worked well, except I couldn't figure out a way to get the wire. Like I bought these they look like they're these little magnet kind of clips. So I stuck them all over and trying to keep the wire down. But, as soon as you reach back and you forget it's there, you'd knock it, it'd yank the wire out, then you'd forget to fix it. And it was kind of like.
And I'm clumsy, so that will happen.
Yeah.
So basically what you're saying, Todd, is that instead of fixing the wire problem, you just bought a brand new car.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
And a new radio.
Nothing more ham about it than that.
Yeah. It's going to be a lot cleaner.
That was the problem, not the radio. Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Keep the radios.
Yeah. So I put the 300, and now the 300, I believe like things happen for a reason. So I have a little shelf that my monitor sits on, and the 300, I just took it out, plugged it in, put it in, and it fits like it was meant to be underneath that shelf perfectly. There's not even a space. It doesn't need to be wedged in there. It fits perfectly. I'm like, see, it was meant to be. So now I've cleared out most of my shack. The radio's all flush. I don't have the external 400 kind of sitting out in a awkward place, so it's working out. So
did you call your wife over to say, look how great it fits in the corner, and now I have to go get something for my vehicle?
No, but she did. She just said, she goes, were you up in the attic? Because I was looking for the box for it. And I'm like, yeah, I'm selling one of my radios. She's like, oh, good. I don't think she knows I'm buying
that you're buying another one?
I don't know how to break this to you. I think she does.
Yeah.
They're in the attic looking for a box.
So just a quick funny story. So she just got a new job, and she's working in the office where my shack is to the other side. So we kind of like, she made like a tea desk. So like the one side is my shack and then the other side is where she does her work. So yesterday I was messing around with the 300 and I had left the volume up and it was dead. And she's in the middle of a conference and I took today off and I was cutting the grass and I come in just to get a water and all of a sudden I hear our guys calling out, looking for people, like blabbing. And she's like literally on a live conference, like Zoom. She's like, excuse, I'm sorry, that's my husband's ham radio.
I have to apologize for him directly. Thank you.
I had to come in and shut the volume down. I was like, oh shit, I forgot I left it on. So, but anyway, it's all good. So I'm looking forward to doing that. And I'm changing the mount of the antenna. So I used to have it behind the spare tire and it didn't work out too well. Wasn't really the best of spots. And
what's the antenna?
I haven't gotten it yet. It's going to be, it's
to be determined.
Yeah. I'm going to look at when I get there. But what I saw at Nearfest, which is, you guys know what Nearfest is?
No, it's like a Hamfest.
It's like a Hamfest we have here in New Hampshire. So I saw a guy with a Jeep and he had this like metal molly rack on the outside of his window of the back. And I'm like, oh, and he had his antenna on that. I'm like, that thing is sweet. So I found it on Amazon, believe it or not, because I looked at all the Jeep plates. I couldn't find it.
Yeah.
Found it on Amazon, bought it. And so we're going to mount the antenna to that. Cool. So it'll be on the side, outside, not behind the tire, not kind of wedged in there. And it'll let me open up the gate. And, you know, there was problems. Like if I had to open up the gate all the way to get the window to pop up. And so this will be a little experiment. We'll see, but I think it's going to be a little bit cleaner and it's going to look a little bit better.
I'll have to share some photos afterwards.
I'm going to do a video on it.
You need to watch James's video. He's got his ATAS mounted on the front of the hood of his Jeep, his JK.
I do. I tried the back originally and wasn't favorable. Yeah.
Okay. So, you know, I when I was seeing that, I was like, wow, you know, Todd's got his ATAS. He hasn't figured out where he's going to put it. You know, we were for a while thinking we might, you know, kind of pool our money and send Joe Brett, you know, the ATAS because he's been waiting for his ATAS to show up somewhere in the world, wherever, you know, Jim was supposed to send it to him, long story short. So, you know, Todd still got it. So, you know, I can, you know, maybe you lead him towards your video.
Yeah, I'll look at it, but I think I'm going to put it on the, so this Jeep that I got had a tow hitch on it. My other one didn't. So I think I'm going to set something up on the tow hitch, make a Jimmy rig something where I can attach it to that and then just run the wire in.
I'm telling you,
grounding on that ATOS though, like it's got tow hitches are good for that, but it's got to be really grounded.
Yeah, well, we're going to play around with it.
40 meters it does anyway.
That means I'm coming over to help Todd install his antennas. That's what that means. But yeah, exactly. Right.
Eric's job
and spend money.
I'm only friends with Eric because he knows how to fix my computer and he does this thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gone. See you later.
Definitely jumping out of a plane one day with Paul.
Okay. You know, when I got into ham radio, I just was going to be a technician and use the repeater and be done with it. And he's the one who started. He basically. I
wasn't the only one. But anyway.
Yeah, but you're like, listen, you got to get your general. And then he said, oh, we're going to this other ham thing and you're getting your general that day. It was like 2 weeks away and I had to crash burn. And so I got that and he took me to as we were coming home, I just got my general coming home. He goes, oh, let's go do a Park's on the air. And I was like, yeah. And that was it. I was like, oh. Yeah. And then I think the next one we did, Paul came and the three of us did it. And then that was the end of him. And we've been doing it ever since. So it's been super fun. And
it's cool. So and you're going to be an extra one day. So
yeah, hopefully.
Hopefully soon, because I'm really getting tired. This is running really, really long episode-wise. We've been a year into this.
We did the statistics analysis. People normally They normally drop off the podcast.
Oh, that was just to make you feel good. That was just to make you feel good.
Without the something extra with Todd, the whole podcast would be a flop, and no one would even care.
There was only out of all of our audience, 2 of them were like, "I really love the questions. Can you read the detail into it?" And like, I feel bad for Paul because sometimes the detail explanation is like a dissertation at like a college fair, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is so long.
I mean, the whole equation on that last one.
Yeah, exactly. He's read the whole equation, literally.
Yeah.
I got that one wrong, so I want to go back. Paul, can you read the equation?
Yeah.
Unlucky 13. That's all you need to know.
That's it.
Okay, go ahead, Paul. No, just kidding.
You know, it's like for me, I've always been a bad test taker, and and when I take the questions, it's like there's always two that are real similar, and I'll mix them up. It's like one word, and that's what's killing me. But I've been very consistent of getting 25 to 29 right every time. Like I hadn't studied for 2 weeks. I've been too busy.
It's a good foundation.
Yeah, and I took it again. Hadn't studied. I took it. I'm like, I think I did pretty good on this one for not reviewing it in a while. And again, 25. I'm like, Jesus, come on.
One day, man. One day.
Yeah.
One day. All right.
For me, I'll hit it hard one day. It'll be a month of that's all I do. I go to work and study, and I'll take the test. That's how it'll end up.
I'm hoping that. So I've been coaching a lot of baseball, like a lot, and it's just been consuming my life, and it's coming to an end soon. So hopefully, I'll have a lot more time.
Yes, you will. We're looking forward to that. That and all the other videos that you got wrapped up in the queue that you got to get put together. So, I feel bad. We finally get to Paul here because I'm just going to probably skip over my Ham Radio Week. I'll just go real quick.
Sorry. The Everyday Ham podcast has completely derailed your entire segment.
We are not anywhere near the Ham Radio workbench numbers yet. We're like only an hour and 20 minutes in. So, we're okay.
Full
but
responsibility. Yeah.
All good. Paul, how was your Ham Radio Week, my friend?
Well, because I was so busy skydiving, I didn't do any ham radio. Mm-hmm. However, what the one ham radio related thing was, I finally got around to a ham radio related video. Ooh. And I did my Support Your Parks weekend video.
Spring Support Your Parks, not fall, but anyway.
Better late than never.
Yeah. So, that was April, the beginning of April.
Yeah. Dude, that one's going to be a struggle bus one, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And then maybe I'll get to my Near Fest video after this next skydiving.
Just shortly after that. Dude, you're going to confuse too many people. They're going to be like, what am I seeing? Like, I feel like I'm going back in time,
Yeah, but next April, the views on that would be tremendous.
True. He'd be way ahead of the curve, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're in front of him. Really.
When's Fall Near Fest? That's coming up, right?
October, I think it is. Yeah. So.
Yeah. So I'll do my Spring Near Fest video right before the fall one.
Dude, you know what you should do is you should make your spring one October and then run it that Thursday before we actually go to the fall Near Fest, just to really confuse people and make it a premiere. They'll be like, how did he get there? Like, what? Just at the very end, making a time machine video kind of thing. Dude, that would be awesome.
So, Eric, what'd you do? Oh, I know what you did. You barely activated a park. So go ahead.
Let me say the actual good thing. The credentials finally came in there, Paul. So I'm finally official. I can wear this around my neck now. So I'm a VE. That only took me a little while there. Because that test was so hard to take, and Paul kept telling me over and over again, it's an open book test, and I'm like, yeah, I know, and Todd's still studying for his extra, so that's kind of the way I looked at it.
Which is an open book.
No, but with the way we run the podcast, it could be, but yeah. Outside of that, I did. This weekend was an interesting, we'll say, quick event. I did a video, and you can head over my channel, check that out, but. I had Digital Rancher. He pinged me on Discord and said, hey, I'm coming up to New England for a family event. Any good parks? And if you're a POTA guy, anytime someone sends you an email, you send them literally everything and the kitchen sink about that one park or a couple of parks, just to make sure that they're super successful, because you want to make sure that, they have everything they can, and you're super excited to share all that information. I know I do that a lot. And so I said, dude, hey, here's a couple of parks. Here's a bunch of my favorite in, the Boston, outside the Boston area. But what are you doing? Let's do a dual activation. And he's like, oh, cool. Okay. All right. So Saturday was just a rain out. It was total rain. Sunday, we decided to activate early in the morning, Minuteman National Park, which is one of the birthplaces of the battle, of our colonial, history and stuff like that. And so we set up there. And Robert decided to use his 599 and antenna. And I can't tell you that we barely activated the park in 5.5 hours. It was it was bad.
5 and a half hours.
5.5 hours. And we had a hard stop because Robert had to go to a family function, which was the party after at like 2:00. And we were getting so close that we had literally like 2 contacts each to be able to get to 10. And we're like, we went from 10 to 15 to 20 to 40 to 2 meters. We were on 5.2 calling and nobody was responding. I mean, it was like, dude, are we plugged in dummy loads? Because it felt so like such a slog. And like everybody we talked to, was like, I even put a plea out on our Discord on Lift Free and Ham. I said, if there's anybody in the area, please fire up your radios because we need to make a contact. And I totally forgot that we probably, could have passed the mic, Robert and I, just to be able to make 4 contacts on 440 and, 2 meters. But we finally squeak out the park. I felt bad because I didn't want Robert to leave. He was going back to Texas. And I didn't want him to tuck tail. I didn't want him to say he had a failed activation when he's trying to turn Massachusetts green. So, we got him on the map, thank God. And so I did a video on it. It's on my YouTube channel. It's called The Struggle Bus. So go check that out because it was. Outside of that, I like this punishment so much that Rob N1 NUG wanted to get together on Thursday to activate the same park again. Hopefully, knock on wood, that the bands are not going to be the same thing again all over.
They've been better.
Hopefully. Okay, good. I like to hear that. Okay. Because I was tempted to activate today, but I ended up getting sidetracked with work. Damn work getting in the way. So I decided that, I would wait till Thursday and make another stab at it. So hopefully, knock on wood, we'll actually be able to make contacts. Because literally 2 days before that, like Thursday of that week, I went out and activated a park in our local area that is like, it's surrounded by mountains. And I got 33 contacts out of that entire park. So I was like, oh, cool. We're going to roll into the weekend. It's going to be great. We'll be able to activate in an hour. And, nope.
Jinxed himself.
No, dude, it was like, dude, what is going on? Like, I felt bad. Like, his 599 couldn't put out, like, we got one contact with one of the, the boats on the air that's in Virginia. They were doing the ships on the air competition. One contact from that, and then everything else, like, Robert just kept calling. Nobody responded. Or someone would respond, hey, I hear a park to park, and then they would go away. And, like, you wouldn't hear them again. It was like, literally someone shut the bands off and said, nope, sorry, no contact. And then we fired back up, and they'd park to park, and then he'd go away again. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is horrible. So yeah.
2 weeks ago when we were out at the park, that was the same. It would be like 5.7, 5.8, and then it would just dive to like 3.1. You were lucky to maybe make a voice out in there. I am curious. So is this the first time you've run the Lab 599 at 10 watts in a park? And what was
Robert? Probably. I mean, he's done it in other parks. One thing I think was a little bit, we all do this. It's like, hey, we get a new antenna. What do we do? Oh, let's go out to a park and activate. And so we have nothing, no testing of the antenna, no conceived notion to how it operates. And so Robert took like a good 40 minutes to an hour to try to get the tuner to work. And for a while, his tuner wasn't even clicking. Like, it was like, it couldn't even figure out how to, to find what relays to ratch. But
I got a Pac 10 here that I haven't even run yet. I bought it at Hamvention. She's still waiting for its inaugural, but I've got 3 other ones.
Yeah, that's my fear. Is I've learned that lesson very early on. Don't bring an antenna you haven't field tested yet.
No, absolutely. The other funny thing that you said there, Eric, was you got 33 and you were feeling good about it. And like in February, I was going out with my DX10 in the back of the truck, and I was setting up at the local parks, and I was minimum 150. I would take nothing less than 150.
How long though? What duration?
An hour and a half. It was like 25 seconds of contact. And you would have a pile up for days. My battery was dead.
My 33 was in my truck with my mobile 891, and I had 15 minutes, literally 15 minutes on the ATAS. So
that's killer. 30 seconds of contact is excellent. Yeah.
So that per queue was way good in my book. But I've been down that road, 150, 200. I mean, Todd, he's been out in the middle of the same park, in the middle of the dark, forgetting, to look up and see that he can't see his hand in front of his face kind of thing. And he's already up to 200 contacts. Yeah.
It was my first pile up ever. And all of a sudden I start getting texts. You're doing great. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. And
you still got power in that battery. Keep going.
Yeah. So I'm just like, I did it until there was like no more pile up and there really wasn't anyone there. And I finally looked up and it was pitch black.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm in this park and I'm sitting at this and literally I had my phone, used my flashlight. The antenna was like out in the field. I'm like, this is going to suck.
Yep. Pack it all up. I'll pack it up the right way when I get home. I'll just stuff it in the car or the truck and get it out of here. Right. Yeah. That was my experience. It was funny. Like I said, in February, the bands were up and you could go out and you could easily get 80, 100, 150. I was getting 200 in some cases. And then I went out. I took a long break because I sold the radio, right? And I was waiting for the new one to be delivered. And I got out there and I was like, holy cow, the bands have changed dramatically. Yeah. It is a whole different ballgame out there. Now I'm getting 15 or 20, and I'm like, I guess I did all right. I got the activation, right?
I get 11. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, right.
Nailed it.
I'm trying to get my second kilo over at Island Lake here, which is 3315 up here in Brighton, and it's just been a slog to get the last 160 contacts. It's just
I haven't seen more than 50 in an activation. And
I'm telling you, man. It used to be you could talk to anybody anywhere, no problem. It's wild. If this is what the bands are going to be like in a couple of years, I'm going to be sad.
It'll swing. It'll swing quick, I think.
Yeah. You know, when I have to travel and I have to go down, like I'll have to go and I do juvenile probation. So we have kids like down south in residential. So no one likes to fly and I love to fly. I'm like, I'll go down there. So it's easy overtime. So all I bring is my POTA bag.
Yeah.
And I'll shove some clothes in there. Like if I have to change and, but so I go down there and I see the kid for like 15 minutes and I'll schedule like either a late flight or a flight like first thing the next morning. So I have the whole afternoon to get paid to do POTA. And so I go out there and it's crazy because when you go out there and you use like a W1 signal, like people down in Florida and Mississippi and Arkansas are like, holy crap.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, I'm right next door to you. You know,
this is ground wave. Actually.
Yeah, ground wave. Dude. Like, sorry,
they're an NVIS contact.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah. Because I guess like they down south, the guys tell me that they really need to get Vermont. Like Vermont's hard for people to get.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's kind of like Montana. Like Montana's a hard state to get because there's not a lot of people there, let alone hams.
Yeah.
So
yeah, Vermont was I think my third to last POTA state to get Parcan.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
yeah, Vermont for me was literally just I drive over to the state, activate it, good to go.
There you go.
Yeah, well, when I go to Vermont and activate, it's like it's crazy because you get like so many like people want to reach it, even if they're because a lot of people don't have you. So yeah, I know what you're saying though. It can be crazy. Sometimes you get the bands are going and other times it's like all I want to do is get the 10, just activate the park. I'll be stuck on that. Like when I was in California visiting my brother, I'm at Huntington State Beach, like beautiful, right? Big open beach, nothing around me, no one's there, and I barely got. What did I get? Like 12 contacts, 13
barely
contacts.
scraped together.
And I was trying to figure out to get Eric. I'm messing with all the different bands, and he's active, and he's like, "Oh, I got like 150," and like California was in like a dead zone. I'm like, dude, I couldn't even. I got the same guy on 3 different bands. I thought it was just me and him out there doing POTA.
It was.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciated Eric's also his comment about calling in the Discord to rescue you from a bad activation. We do it all the time around here, by the way. There are a ton of metro parks that are like central to the Southline area. So if you get in real bind, you get on Discord POTA for the Slark Club and you say, hey, I need some help. And you get at least 3 or 4 freebies because people get out of bed and click it over to your band on 40.
Did you use your daughter, Eric? Did you?
Okay, guys.
The cheating method.
It's not cheating. It's an emergency break glass option. I have
a club call too, right? LFH. Come on.
At the time I don't, so I probably could. But my daughter's a ham, and long story short, she went on a POTA with me. I recorded her voice on my 891, and I forgot to erase it.
Yeah,
not that I intended to do it that way, but
I mean, it's family.
It works.
Okay.
It works. Yeah, it really throws them for a loop for sure. But hey, I got the contact. They can't take it back.
Yeah. So he sends her out on the call, and then he answers like, "Hey, where'd the girl go?" And it's like,
Oh, she stepped away. Yeah, she'll be back.
Oh, it's weird. Now, you'll have to tell me how you got your daughter to become a ham in the first place, because that's what I've been working on, and it's not going well.
Field day.
Field day is what it did. So my daughter brought her friend to field day because I said, "Oh, come check out these old guys hanging out playing radio." And she's like, "Oh, okay, cool." Which I thought was really weird, but whatever. Yeah. And so she showed up, and I said, "Here, come sit in front of the radio." And they started making contacts. And the worst part was that when she first sat down in front of the radio, start calling, every guy was like, "Oh, dude, you get a female voice, a YL on the radio, they'll be tracked in them." Like, she got nothing. Literally nothing. And I was like, "Oh, that's the worst thing." And so I took her out to her POTA, and she was like, she got on and she started, making contacts. And I think that was like one of the big hits for her. She was like, "Oh, this is really cool." And she loved doing it. And she's like, she got to a point that she was like, "Oh, okay, well, I should study for my test." But then she stopped. And long story short, like Father's Day, I think it was like 2 years ago, she surprised me. And she's like, "Hey, Dad, here's my call." I'm like, "You're what?" And because, I guess one weekend the wife was in cahoots with her and they were trying to keep me out of the house because she was doing a weekend crash course for her technician through another club in Nashua that, you basically take the weekend and they'll test you and you get your technician. And so she got her technician from zero. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That is
awesome. So how old is your daughter? And it's mostly just to see if it's comparable to James's older daughter.
I had the same question.
Yeah.
23.
Oh, so she's a little older, James. You have some room.
Mine's 10, so I got a little runway.
Yeah, you got a little runway.
Yeah. James is getting frustrated that the two girls who are still young aren't taking interest in this quite yet. I think he has 2 or 3 years to even have a chance, but I think at least one of them will bite.
I mean, I just try to bait them to any park because Jim has 2 poodles, and they like the dogs.
Yeah, that's how it attracts my dog. Like, dogs are a big thing. Paul's got his dog, Watson, and so that's kind of what led Emma to go hang out with us on field day. It's like, "Oh, dog there! I love the dogs." And so, Watson was a big hit, and that kind of kept her there for a while. But yeah,
well, not last field day, the field day before.
2 field days, yeah.
I couldn't make a contact. No, not because
finals.
This was my finals died on my DX10.
Oh no!
I made 5 contacts with no finals, which was pretty impressive. But I'm like
into a buddy hex. But anyway,
I'm like, why doesn't anyone hear me? Why? I'm like, this is ridiculous. So anyway, I think I got our old president's radio in there and the thing. And again, I'm trying to work a pile up, trying to get in, and 45 minutes, I can't get through to this guy. She goes, "You want me to try?" I'm like, "Sure. Good luck." First call, boom. And then she was like, and that was it. She took over the radio and she was probably there for a couple hours.
So, James, here's the tip you want to try. If you can't do, obviously she's not driving yet, but what I did is I got my daughter roped in to doing a fox hunt, live fox hunt. So I gave her my truck. She brought 3 of her friends. I said, "You got to keep it clean, but you're going to retransmit at this frequency." And I gave her a schedule on this, band and stuff like that. And I sent her out. I said, "This is where you're going to go sit. Go park your truck there." And so she transmitted, and I have a video on my channel. You can go watch it. It's hilarious. She did one of the girls did a reading of "Can I Give the Mouse a Cookie?" My daughter did bad dad jokes for 45 seconds. The third girl did another, and so they continue to rotate through all of this random, weird stuff. And they were a big hit. They never got found. And so, my daughter still holds true to the fact that they are the live foxes in our club that have never been found, and everybody literally drove by them every time. They're like, "Oh, I remember this. Someone was parking over there. We just figured it was something else and, drove right by it." So that's kind of what the impetus was to get her to get into ham radio. So
let's be clear. If it was 3 gray-haired dudes sitting in a truck, you would have been found.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Let's be clear. Read and give a mouse a cookie.
Yeah. Yep. Star Wars. Whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
So all good stuff.
James, my son is 12, and he's been kind of into it, not really into it. Someone gave him a keyer to it was a practice keyer. It would make things when he was maybe 8. So he got into that till he learned his name. And then I would run a net. Every Sunday I used to run our club net, which we do every night. And I'd go on the net. So he'd always remind me, Dad, you're gonna miss the net. You're gonna miss the net. Even if I didn't want to do the net, he was my reminder. But what I got him really interested in was when the space station flies over, and you put their 2 frequencies in your radio and you let it go through, he can start hearing people. I said, oh, that's coming from the space station. It's flying overhead. And then one time, this guy Fred in Hollis, he's one of the 6 people that can run his station to schools, and the kids in schools can talk to the astronauts. Oh, nice. So for that to happen, the space station has to fly over New Hampshire so he can pick them up. And you get about 10 minutes of them hearing. So when he heard the astronauts talking on the radio, from our house, he was like, "That's awesome! That's awesome!"
Yeah, that would be exciting even for me. So
yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool to hear that. And then, but he's still he's too into sports right now that he could care less. But I think down the road he might get into it. Especially if he comes to a field day or if he stops by that, he might want to come to that 24-hour POTA and camp out or whatever. I don't know. That might get him going. So
yeah. I tried to get my kids to camp this weekend, and it was an adventure. So
yeah,
we'll see.
They had a poodle babysitter for like half of it, so it was all good.
Yeah.
I am entertained though. The ISS, we do an event called Astronomy at the Beach here in Michigan, the southern Michigan area.
You guys have beaches, Michigan?
On the lake.
There's some lakes around here. I don't know if you've heard of them.
I don't know, some body of water that parts of Canada or something.
Anyway, they do an Astronomy at the Beach event, and actually, ironically, it's not at one of the big freshwater lakes. It's one of the inland lakes here by South Lyon. And they bring the telescopes out in the whole 9 yards. And one of the club members is pretty involved in the astronomy club down here at University of Michigan. And so he says, hey, why don't we go out there and use it as an outreach event for the club, right?
Nice.
So we put a couple of radios up. We run FT8. We put a lot of, lots of colorful things that are moving with bands and scopes and whatnot and try to entertain the masses, right? And so last year we got all the folks out there and me and the dog are sitting there. And that was one of the funniest things is we had all these younger folks come up and they wanted to first see the dog, but then we used it kind of suck them in and talk about the radio a little bit. We did end up getting a couple of folks interested. So it was really fun to see that. And I appreciate the idea of the ISS because two of our guys in the club also do the, what do you call it, James? You have it too. The 5100 with the satellite rig, right? In and out, bounce off. Yep.
Yeah,
I don't have this, so I don't fully understand it. But
I mean, I've never made a contact through satellite.
James has got all the equipment.
Trying,
done it.
So,
yep.
But I've never got it to quite work.
Yeah. But there's a couple of guys that have made it work, and I will tell you, when you talk to the space station, there's something about that. A person hears that, and they think that's the coolest thing ever, and it's a great way to pull people in. And get them thinking about the hobby more seriously, right? And then they can kind of discover the rest of it. And so, I think that's an awesome way to get people interested.
And if you work the astronauts, I guess the Russian astronauts or cosmonauts up there, they do ham radio probably more than anyone else. And if you work them, they'll send you a QSL card from the space station. So it's I think if he was able to do that and work, we were able to work an astronaut flying over by and then get a postcard that says you work the space, he'd be like, dude.
Hell yeah. That's cool. That is cool. Yeah, the cosmonauts do a bunch of SSTV as well. If you ever get in, if you ever set your radio up to listen to that, it's pretty neat to see the pictures come down.
Yeah, James, cool. just keep doing radio in front of your daughter. Eventually, they'll think it's cool. Just when they get to 20s and the boys start getting involved, then things just they start to tail. I almost got to the point of getting my daughter to put a dual band HT. I was literally going to say, I will put that radio in your Jeep and I will put the antenna in, we'll install it. And she's like, oh, that's great. And then somewhere along the line, she got a boyfriend. And then that's just a fleeting.
That's right. Preteen girls are going to think their dad's cool for their hobbies. That's exactly how that's going to work. Yeah.
It will for a while. Then after that, forget it.
Keep trying.
Yeah, exactly. That's all you can do, right? It's a dad.
Yeah. I mean, they tolerate me, so I can't complain too much.
All you gotta do is find another. How old's your daughter?
10 and 8. I have 2 daughters.
So you need to find a 10 and 8-year-old ham, over in Europe or wherever you get up in Canada or something that they can talk to on that they can talk to on the radio, and then they might think it's cool. My ham buddy.
Maybe.
I did find that 8-year-old general class ham that was running POTA that I really was surprised about. So
wow.
I don't remember the call. I'd have to find it. But here's a random story for you for kids, for daughters on the air. So there's a family out of Howell, Michigan, to the west of us here. Guy had 3 daughters, and I knew them when I first got licensed. They were all on the local repeater back in the early 2000s. And they all proceeded to marry non-hams, three girls, and those guys are all now hams. So that worked that direction for them. Mm-hmm. That was there, and the dad, their dad's name Ralph. I think his name was Ralph. Anyway, he you guys remember at Dayton there was the one booth with old military pickup truck bed thing, big old thing. That was their booth, and I wasn't in the mood. I'm sorry if they're listening. I wasn't in the mood to reminisce, so I walked quickly past that one this year. But
I don't see you. I'm good.
I'm not a nice person, but yeah, he got all his daughters into it, so it's possible, and they married non-hams, and those ladies all got their husbands.
I mean, what was it? Was it Steve, N8AR Steve? He was the one that told us he wouldn't let his daughters drive pre-cell phones until they got their license, their radio license, their technician, so they could use the repeater to call in.
I think that might have been a little bit with the people I'm talking about too, because that was still very early cell phone age.
Don't give them when they want their phones. Be like, get your license first, then you can get a phone. You'll get it right away.
Steve would be like, "What are we maintaining this repeater for? Use radio first."
Yeah.
My original technician license was granted in 3/13 of 2002, which, by the way, was before I got my first cell phone. So that should...
Dude, my license was granted in 1993.
All right.
I
thought I was dropping a real bomb there. Yeah, I was in senior year of high school, and Dad said, "I'll buy you a radio if you get your license." So we went and got tech. Me and my brother both. But
I had to burn down my kitchen, my parents' kitchen, to be able to get my first HT. That's how it worked. Yeah, we'll get into that story. But anyway, you can ask my dad.
I feel like there's a backstory on that.
Yeah,
teaser.
Yeah, there was a long one, but yeah, we the long story short of it is we had a fire caused by me, but we won't go in there. And in that grease fire that I left oil on the stove to make French fries for some reason, I don't know why, but I went upstairs to go, check out a few things or whatever. And when I came downstairs, the kitchen was on fire, and I don't know how it happened, but yeah, my Boy Scouting skills apparently, was what saved our house from, becoming, total ruin. So my parents figured they would reward me. And so what did they reward me with? A Yaesu FT470 dual band HT. Now that thing was literally like, if you see the pictures online, it was literally like 6 feet tall. And it was like the first dual band Yaesu ever put out.
As we all go to the web right now.
I'm 100% Googling it because we have to see the picture.
You go look at that radio. It was a brick. Imagine putting that thing on your hip. Like, it literally had an hour and a half battery life. It was pretty bad. But
Eric, do you still have it? Do you still have it to this day?
Dude. My history, long story short, is I, basically by the time I got married, which was right around 2000, I sold all the ham radio gear, and for 20 years basically didn't do ham radio. Kept my license up, but then my brother got back in. He's like, "Oh, dude, during COVID," he's like, "You ever check into ham radio again?" I'm like, "Why would I do that? I sold all my gear." And he's like, "You got to check into it." And so, long story short, looked into it, and then I got hooked. And so, yeah,
wild how much it changed, right?
Oh, freaking crazy how fast it all changed. And I was a no-code technician, so I never really got a chance to play on HF except during like field days. And that was always the blast because all the old guys would be like, "Give it to the young kid, give it to the 18-year-old. He'll be there for 48 hours." So I'd bring us 24-pack of Jolt, set it up there right next to the radio, and I'd be pounding those things down, and I'd operate all night because that was the only time I ever got a chance to play on HF. So yeah, dude, so I went fast through technician, fast through general once COVID hit, and then at that point I was in an HOA, so I really shot myself in the foot fast. So
I'm the definition of a COVID ham. I started studying even for my technician right before COVID, general during the middle of COVID, and then extra right after, pretty much. So
yeah, I did the same thing right before a lockdown. I was like, I got to get my extra, so I did the Zoom, weekend kind of extra crash course, and never looked back. I was like, I was done. So
I guess I should have done my extra then. My COVID thing was go get the real estate license. I did that during COVID.
Dude, here's a tip. And like, this is the one thing, and I'm trying to tell Todd to do this. There's a club here in New England called National Amateur Radio Club. You might have heard of them. They're big ARL kind of promoted, whatever. We love to hate them around here. Long story short, they do a really good Zoom 3-day crash course for extra. And I went in not testing anything whatsoever. And by the time I got out of it on Sunday, I was literally an extra. So it was like a crash course. They do all hands-on stuff. You literally have to do nothing prior to getting into it except be a general and, have at least some, skill. So for $60, it was way worth the effort to be able to understand how to read a Smith chart and, read all the questions that, Todd gets tested on.
My focus is about 3 days, so that's pretty good. The only thing I've ever heard out of Nashua, New Hampshire, and this goes back to the early 2000s when I was doing a bunch of NTS traffic, is there was some dude out of Nashua, New Hampshire that sent a bunch of spam messages over the national traffic system. I don't remember what they were about. So that's the only reason I know that town. So
wow.
I think they were all welcome to the hobby messages sent over national traffic system. So
yeah,
I'll have to think if I sit here long enough, I'll remember the call of who sent them. But yeah.
Eric, had you done a crash course before on some other IT related training, or was this your first real 3-day crash course to make an achievement like that?
From a ham radio perspective, I only did it because I wanted to get it done fast, and I was just making no progress testing on my own. General, I did this, the cram and slam right before COVID hit, where they did the lockdown. So it's kind of funny because I tested with the club that I'm with now and didn't even know that I was testing with them. And so they were only doing walk-ins. So I literally walked in with the whole mask and the whole setup and everything else like that. And I crammed the night before. I was studying, and I kind of came out of it like, yeah, I'm a general. I'm like, okay, I don't have HF gear. What do I do? I just shot myself in the foot. So what did I do? Guys, I ran down to HRO.
I was going to say, obviously you bought something.
Yeah, I ran down to HRO. At that point, I realized I don't have the budget right now for that. And we actually had a club member who had a 450, FT 450D. Loved that radio. It was the best radio I ever had. Tuner in it. That was my first radio. And so I got on the air and started making contacts. And yeah, the rest is kind of sort of history. But everybody knows my story with this whole podcast. I mean, in essence, we got to turn the tables on this because, in essence, you guys are our guests. So, there's a lot to know about you. So, it's kind of funny because I was talking to Paul today a little bit offline, and we kind of saw the parallels that it felt like you guys were kind of our mirror reverse of who we are as a podcast, and it kind of got almost more, comical as we kind of dove into it. Yeah, exactly right. It's the perfect lineup.
Oh,
yeah, exactly right.
This is the alignment. Right. Okay, all right.
So those that are watching the live stream here, you'll see that basically we're all lined up top to bottom. And yeah, this is a perfect matchup. So it's kind of funny. I was doing a little correlation, and Paul and I kind of talked about this. But if you haven't clued in already, these guys that are in front of us are Everyday Ham. You can go check them out at everydayham.com. They also have a YouTube channel and a podcast. And how long have you guys been? It was about a couple of months now. You guys have been doing the podcast?
6 months. Yep. Okay. 6 months.
So 6 months
since January. We floated the idea at the end of the year in 2024. It was kind of a joke, right? Sitting at the bar, we said, "Hey, wouldn't it be funny if we did a podcast?"
Sound familiar, Todd?
Yeah. Yep. And James is a gentleman that refuses to let anything lie. So as a pusher forward of all things,
we had the James, invite for the session before we agreed to anything. Yeah,
so
James it's not a built the whole brand invite out there. So.
That's right. Okay. James built the whole brand, and he said, "We're doing our first podcast in January. You in?"
Wow.
Here we go.
And so we did it over beers. We were basically deciding, and we had a bunch of people that I kind of thought in our club would be the good fit for it. And and originally it was just Todd, I, and Ryan. But Ryan definitely had more. He's a private pilot, so he flies every which way. So it was always tough for him to be able to find time. And so we're like, we got to find somebody else that's a good fit. Yep. Well, heck, I was like, dude, I know Paul. He's a perfect fit. I know he's like, he doesn't have any YouTube. He's not on the, the internets, whatever. He'd be perfect. He's blunt. He's awesome. He's, a great resource. And so, yeah, he said, sure, I'll come on. And 2 years later, my God, yeah, he's the he's the anchor of all this crew.
Yeah, I want to tell you, I have a complaint with my doppelganger though. That one jumps out of planes upside down.
Yeah, come on, James, you're really
I lose this battle pretty heavily here.
You do, but you have so much more space to work towards.
I mean, a lot of space to work towards, but thank you.
Yeah. So yeah. So
I'll jump one day.
You might eventually if Paul keeps going the way he is. He might be able to take you with him.
You can jump with Todd first, and then call me up.
Then call up James,
and I'll go second.
Yep. Yeah. So I started kind of jotting down some stuff. So these guys are the Everyday Ham, like I said, and they have their own podcast. So check them out. If you haven't subscribed to them, definitely subscribe to them. I have to say I'm a little jealous because we took for 2 years to get to 500 subscribers on our YouTube channel, but you guys shot off pretty quick, which is cool. The kind of parallels I saw, and you guys can chime in if you saw a few yourself. We are the reverse. So all three of us, Todd, I, and Paul, we're bald guys. And Jim and James and Rory still have their hair. Still, I know Rory's sort of there, but a little bit. So the obviously easy one. You guys obviously met through your club, and you decided that heck, why can't we just hang out more? So let's do a podcast together. That's the most logical thing to do. Exactly right. Yeah, instead of just sitting around drinking beers, it's like let's just record this stuff. What better than to capture them? The craziness. So and then you guys are big POTA guys, which we all are. We all influenced each other in some form or fashion. I watched your first episode and heard all of the intertwining of I invited this person from this club, and it's like we all did this, and it just kind of clicked. And so that was kind of one of my things there. And then obviously I made the correlation earlier. James crosses so very much over into the Jeep world with Todd, and Todd's offline again, so we'll get him back on in a second. Jim, you and I kind of share the same parallels with the family. So like my brother is a ham. My dad finally became a ham after, encouraging his two sons to become hams.
Nice.
So we didn't have a farm. I have to apologize that we lived in, suburbia. So the closest thing we had was a looking farmhouse. So, we have that kind of growing up. But my brother, kind of encouraged me, and, he's still a ham, although he's still a no-code technician. But it was kind of that type of stuff. But so outside of that stuff, you guys have the floor. Kind of tell us a little bit about you. What's going on with you guys? How did this whole kind of process? I mean, obviously you shared a little bit of that, but kind of start there, and we'll just let it unfurl.
Yeah, it was definitely, I think, a bit of a joke that we would start a podcast, but it's a crew that I think was well fitted to having a conversation in a casual way. So that was how James, Rory, and I got together. I met Rory on the repeater just about a month to the day ago, a year to the day rather ago, and that was how I got back into ham radio. Last year, right before field day, was when I picked up my VHF radio again and got on the repeater and said, "Hey, here's my call sign." It was KC8TGB at the time. And I haven't used my call sign in 23 years. Is anybody out there? Rory answered, and at the time he was talking to a gentleman, KE8WSK, Blake is his name, and he said, "Hey, if you ever hear us chatting, feel free to toss your call out and get into the conversation," right? And it was that interaction that encouraged me to be all right with getting on the radio again, and that was awesome. And it was just kind of a bit of a snowball from there, right? Around the South Lyon area, James was on the radio. Lewis was on the radio. There's a number of other folks that are regularly on the radio, and they were all real friendly, right? And I think that, at least in this Metro Detroit area, there's a lot of folks that were encouraging folks to get back on the radio, even if you hadn't run it for a long time. So it got me stoked about it again, and then I started starting for General because I bought an FTDX10 for $850 from some
have
random
to put it to good
guy.
use too.
Yeah. And I had to apparently. I was like, well, I can't run the radio without a General license, so I have $850 into it. She wasn't thrilled with that purchase, but I thought it was super shiny. I stuck a wire in the back of the antenna port,
so it's pretty.
Yeah, I stuck a wire in the back. I didn't even have an antenna, nor did I have the right cable to connect to it. I stuck a wire in the back and dropped it out the back window, and at least I could hear some stuff. I was real careful not to hit the transmit button. But
Well, at least
Boy,
you
was
had
it
that
a-
common sense.
Yeah, boy, was it a neat looking radio when I bought it from the guy, and he was like, "I hope you make good use of it." I said, "Me too. I don't know what I'm doing." So he was a real nice guy. Anyway, it ended up Rory knew the gentleman. Unfortunately, it was a silent key situation, as many of those things are.
Yeah.
Right when you find a great deal like that, it ends up being somebody that unfortunately has passed away, and the estate auction doesn't know what to do with the stuff in many cases, right? And so I saw it, I bought it, and it kind of was my little segue back into getting a general license, getting on the radio, and meeting these guys, and the rest is kind of history. So it's kind of my ham birthday this month, and that's pretty exciting. Soon after I got my general license, I upgraded my call to, of course, initials, so NHJRD, James Robert Davis, Jim Bob Davis. We can all make the joke here today, right? There we go, and so that's how it kind of ended up. But these guys are excellent folks, and James is really kind of the producer, the brainchild of the Everyday Ham. So I'll send it to James to make some thoughts.
Yeah, I think you're being a little kind there. No, I mean, similar to what Jim mentioned, I talked about a second ago. I was a COVID ham. My grandpa was always into radio, CB, and everything. We talked about it in one of our episodes and how we got into the hobby and listening to the scanner. So COVID hit, and I said, you know what? This is something I've always wanted to do. I'm going to go ahead and do it. So got my license, went to find a club, found the South Lion Club just out of chance. It had a good online presence. And I said, like any millennial would, it's got a good website, so why don't I go check it out? So I went down there, and ironically, first meeting, and they were like, "Oh, where do you work?" And I said where I work, and they go, "Oh, do you know Lewis, N8LEK?" And I go, I don't think so, but why? And they're like, "Oh, he works with you in the same building." And I said, "Well, that's a coincidence in a kind of way." So next day at work, the guy walks down and goes, "I heard you're at my club meeting. What were we doing there?"
That work is already smoking.
And I'm like,
I can so see that happening too.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, "Oh, well, it's nice to meet you." And he was really friendly, and actually, he's like, "You should come back and check it out." And discovered POTA actually through Lewis and the South Lion Club there. They're pretty big POTA club. I would say we do the Support Your Park weekends and really anything POTA related. And I got hooked. I loved outdoor operating. I love hiking. I love off-roading with the Jeep. Actually, that's where my call sign comes from, is the JKU.
Yeah, I was going to say that's JKU name.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would like to say, though, I'm not as bad. I didn't pick that call sign out myself. My daughters actually picked it out. They said, "Well, you like your Jeep, so you just go by JKU." And I was trying to pick a vanity call sign. So not quite that vain and Jeep, but it worked out.
That's totally fine, dude. You can't be as vain as me, who for his 50th tattoo decided to get his call sign put on the back of his arm.
There you go.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty. Yeah, that's at the bottom of the barrel. So anyway.
Yeah. But then I met Rory and Jim, and the rest is kind of history. And I think the best thing about our show is similar to yours, as you mentioned. We provide a pretty good balance to each other. I'm probably the least as the extra. I'm probably the least technical of the two of them. But I learn a lot from them as well. So for me, it's really actually a benefit because I'm learning as I'm doing these recordings and watching Jim's unboxing videos and everything of that nature. So it's a pretty cool experience, and I'm happy to be here. And again, as I said, we just like to hang out and record what we're talking about. So there's no better combination than that. So
yep, unscripted, technical, non-technical, anything in between.
Exactly.
Cool.
I'll ask the dumb questions that should be obvious, and then that's okay. Yeah.
Well, that just kind of falls in line with Paul's famous shirt.
We know the answer.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So now we have to hear Rory say nice things about us. So go ahead, Rory.
Good luck.
So first, I'm having that issue I was having earlier where my receiver audio is awful.
A little delayed.
About 65% of what you guys are saying, but I'm piecing it together. But you guys are hearing me okay? Yes.
Yeah.
So far, good. Yeah.
Good.
Okay, so we'll hope it recovers because it seems
hear
like
you
when everyone
just
stops
fine.
talking. Well, see, that's the problem. Everyone needs to stop talking for a second; it'll recover. But we've all been talking
Rory.
so much; it hasn't had a chance to do that. So once that happens, I think it'll be okay. But yeah, so I've been a ham since 2002, and when Jim mentioned his date, I had to pull it up just for sake of my own. I can't remember, but. 2/5 of 2002, so all of 6 weeks before Jim had his first license, it seems like. I got my tech license. I had no hams in the family. I basically was a scanner listener for the longest time and started listening to local repeaters on the scanner. And my dad, whose uncle was a ham, my dad was familiar with it. He's like, well, try and study and get the license. And my dad encouraged me to do it as a non-ham. So that was the story there. I tested once somewhere probably 2 years before I actually got it. I didn't pass, but I studied up some more, and finally, I think junior year of high school, I got my technician license, and all was good there. So I was fairly active on repeaters and all that locally as a tech for a very long time. Eventually got the general, but wasn't super active, kind of put it aside with work and finishing school in a very roundabout manner and all the things that happened between here and there. But coworker, the guy Jim mentioned a little bit ago, Blake, who was he knew I had a ham radio license on my car. It didn't mean anything to him, but these letters were on the plate. He started asking me ham radio questions, and I'm like, yeah, I have radios and things, but I'm not super active. But Blake's like, well, I'm interested, so I helped him through some of his basic startup of picking equipment. It started to get my attention again. You know, I had a radio in the car. I just turned it on whenever. It wasn't super active. But then one day Blake said, hey, do you know anything about this South Lion Club? And I'm like, yeah, I was a pretty long-term member there for a while. I had been vice president at one time even. So, you know, it's been a number of years. He's like, well, I'm going to their meetings. So I'm like, all right. So I dragged myself to
every vice president in the past. Yeah. Okay, fine.
It was funny because there's all sorts of new people there, but then here's, you know, a handful of the old timers who of course knew me, and they're like, yeah, you know, so we pick up where we left off. Essentially, the guy we mentioned earlier, Steve, N8AR, he promptly brought me up to date on.
Like something? What happened with that?
Oh, wasn't me.
I thought that was me. Yeah. Yeah, one guy promptly brought me up to date with everyone who became a silent key, and suddenly I was a club member again. So that's fine. But you know, what we did then is we all became pretty quick friends. We're all, you know, very close, same age group, very, you know, like-minded in enough ways to make it work. The one thing that I started pushing for when I got active again, though, is that we leave no call unanswered on the repeater. That's kind of what it's something I picked up from a ham club out in California when I spent a little time out there. The Papa system of Southern California, that's kind of their motto, leave no call unanswered. So we started trying to do that on our repeater, and I think that's one thing that's gotten a lot of attention in the club, and a lot more people happy with, you know, you get a brand new person, they give their call sign out, and how many times do you hear the story, no one's on this repeater, no one's on this repeater? Well, no one's taken the 10 seconds to tell the guy he's making it into the machine. I mean, if you don't, you know, everyone can afford to give someone 30 seconds of your time. If you're, you know, just pulling up to your stop or wherever you're trying to, whatever you're doing, just, you know, say hello, tell the guy he's making the machine, his radio works. You know, it's worth that quick interaction. So that's something we all have tried to adapt, and that's I think one thing out of many right now that has built to the club's success. And then of course we all became acquainted with each other, which led us into becoming the Everyday Ham podcast. So there is a short story long.
You guys all have used the words like acquainted and bumped into, and you know, do tell this connection, because Paul, I, and Todd all know how we connected, and we've obviously shared, you know, as POTA, and you know, Paul had, you know, we're all part of the club in some form or fashion. So was it like you all just showed up at a meeting and said, hey, you look good, let's get together, let's be friends kind of thing? Or like, yeah.
I think it was like
okay,
go ahead. No,
I was just going to say, I can remember. So I actually went to Michigan POTA meetup at Sleepy Hollow, which was James's first run, I think, at putting this whole event
Generation
together.
1. Yeah,
G1 of Michigan POTA meetup. And this was soon
after. No, it's not G1, it's at 1F. So let's continue on.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Oh, boy. I showed up there looking to meet some folks from the club, right? Because I had been on the repeater for 2 weeks at that point, I think, give or take, right? Like, they said there's something going on, I'll drive up there. I worked at the office, which was 40 minutes from the place that we were camping. I snagged a late campsite. It was an open campsite way far away from the rest of these guys. But I walked over. I had just built a new truck camper in the back of my truck, so I was like, it'll be an excuse to go truck camping in the back of my truck that I just built out with the whole 9 yards. Me and the dog walked over, and I met. And I don't know, James. His sort of nonchalant personality, as far as that's concerned, appealed to me.
That's a nice way of saying it, but yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Because I share that same personality. I'm sure it's not nonchalant, and some people might say abrasive. And oh my gosh, why is this guy up in my face? But hey, it's all good.
I don't know how else to say it. Like James's approach to things appeared to be my speed, and so I was like, I like this guy. I think that's all right, and I'll make note of that. Check. And we moved on, right? But I didn't want to have the man crush on him or anything, so we went about our day, right? And then I saw everybody at the meeting, and of course I had been talking to Rory on the air as well, and kind of we had floated and joked about this idea. So yeah, as far as meeting is concerned, no, it was certainly through the South Lyon area Amateur Radio Club, but also a little bit of a Michigan POTA meetup, right, where a lot of those guys supported the experience, and then we do have a pretty active get together before the meeting. We actually meet for beer and dinner before the meeting, which is great because then everybody's in a good mood for the meeting, right? So you have a couple of beers before the meeting.
Right? Okay. Yeah, good idea.
Then any topic can be interesting for an hour afterwards. So
yeah, I would like to say, similar to Jim just said, I'd like to say it's some prolific moment where we just realized, but it's kind of like Step Brothers. Did we just become best friends? I think so. I'm testing to see if you have that drop right now, too, by the way. But
I wish I did.
Put it in the cycle.
I will. We'll add it. I don't have my OBS running, so I can't pull up all of my
nice.
quick videos.
Man.
So yeah.
Yeah, and by the way, you're making Rory over here jealous, so now I got to start making all these drops.
You're the most amazing guy.
There we go. Todd, Paul will pull up the weight.
Yeah, so I think it just clicked and things work and we got a Rory. That's all we need.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I gotta ask.
I don't know what they needed me for, but that's fine.
Go ahead, Paul.
Okay. So I'm the baby in our group, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm 43. Eric's 50. Todd's over 50.
54. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Ages. What do we got?
42. Just
39.
42 in May. Yeah.
41. Rory is our baby in the group. Rory's the young guy in the group.
I am. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow, dude, we're in trouble. Our podcast is really slacking then. I thought we were doing good for a while.
I think we've said, it's good to have folks on the air that are of all ages, but I think it is nice to see some younger folks interested in ham radio. The South Lyon Club has certainly got those folks that have been testing and getting involved, and I think having events that aren't just strictly technical events is really key to attracting those folks to come out, right? Having a social event that you meet out at a brewery or that you go out and do something that's just ham radio adjacent so that you can pull those folks in that aren't sure yet that they're ready to commit
and
fully.
Bring family members in as well.
Yeah, that's right.
You can bring the spouse, you can bring the kids.
Yeah.
We all three of our spouses all tolerate ham radio. Or
mine too, but
okay.
She's always invited.
She did ask if this was the fourth ham radio meeting I had in the last week and a half, and I was like, it's true.
I get all that. That's
thing to do.
I get the bye, honey. We'll see you tomorrow kind of thing. As I go down to my ham shack to to record the episode. So
100%.
It's all good. Wow, it's interesting. I like the idea of beer. Eating beforehand, because that's the one thing we don't do with our club that I think would be way better. But one of the things we love a lot is we try to do ham adjacent kind of stuff. So we did a whole Mesh-tastic night, which was freaking awesome. And we dragged in a whole bunch of people in the Manchester, Nashua area that are just Mesh-tastic people, but they heard about us and they were like, "Oh, what's this ham radio thing?" And so then at that point, we had 5-10, new people. Paul's been, big Manchester guy too as well. And so, yeah, it's things like that. So we kind of always thought a little bit outside the box with our, kind of how we can get other people connected because, it's all electronics, whatever way you look at it. But, the sad part about ham radio is if you're a diehard ham radio operator, you don't communicate. I don't understand that. I can't get my head around it. It's it's a mode of communication. You should be picking up the mic and where Rory was sharing the, no repeater left behind kind of thing. I subscribe to that, dude. Like I must annoy a lot of the old guys on our repeater because I put my call out every time I'm in the truck every 5 minutes. Like, oh, M1JR listening, M1JR listening. I maybe get one or two people, but outside of that, I'm sure I piss off a lot of people. They're tired of hearing my call, but I'm not going to stop. Not going to stop.
Now, I will say I'm a terrible communicator, but I'm a great amateur radio operator.
Yeah, exactly. That's what oh man, yeah, that is so true. That is literally how
I joke with our repeater that it's the Jim and Rory repeater because that's how it feels sometimes. But at the same time, there's been a lot of other people that have trickled in because we're talking about nothing and we leave it open. We always leave it open. The conversation is never nothing that someone can't jump into, and we've gathered a lot of folks on the machine for sure. So that's I don't feel bad about it. I think there were some of the older folks that there's one in particular who was bothered because he couldn't make his plans for walking around town with another local ham. It was the repeater was too busy one night. They had to call each other on the phone to make their plan. So.
It's funny. Like I met Paul.
Okay.
I heard. Yeah,
I met Paul through originally the repeater, in our local repeater, and he would always leave a large gap in between. And I thought like I was something wrong with my radio for a long time because it was like this long pause, and I'm like, and then I asked him one day, I'm like, dude, why do you leave that gap? He's like, oh, I leave a gap so someone can jump in and have a part of the conversation. I'm like, that's brilliant. Like that makes total sense. Like, why not? Because like how many of us like have that problem, like Rory mentioned, like. People just talk and talk and talk and talk and don't leave space.
Yeah, we have. I'll
even make mention when we're in a long queue so that anyone's welcome to join because I do have a bad habit of picking up the mic quick. I'm a very impatient fellow, I'm going from one to the next. So I'll pick up before the courtesy tone completes in some cases. So. But I'll make the comment if someone wants to join. I'll ease up. But I'm a quick key person.
I think I made it. I think I made it 2 months on the repeater before I said, "Is Sunday night at 8:00 the best time for a net?" And I started to pose that question, right? And that's when the official Slark net happens every week, and some folks can make Sunday, and some folks can't. And I said, what if we had a Thursday night late night roundtable? Like something late night for us folks that aren't going to bed at 6:30 in the evening, right? What if we had a late night roundtable? So I floated the idea to Rory, and he's like, "You should start it. See what happens." He said, "I'll show up to it." And I said, "Well, two is a crowd." So I started the late night roundtable on Thursday night at 10:00, and it took a life of its own. We're almost at its birthday here. In 2 months, it'll be a 1-year-old, and we averaged 10, 15 folks, depending on the evening, and it ended up being kind of a hit. It's one of the only repeaters lit up late at night here in the metro area. We got folks calling in 20, 30 miles away, right? And it's nice to hear activity at that hour, and it takes on a whole different tone, right? Late night roundtable, you can have a couple of beers and you can talk about anything, right? It doesn't have to be net control. Can I have my turn? No, that's not how late night roundtable works. We put up a
you get yelled at if you take that approach.
We put up a line of folks, and we hear what you have to say. If you time out the repeater, you get an extra award for being long-winded, right? But on we go with our evening, right?
And I have the thing at 4 minutes. I have the timer on our repeater at 4 minutes, which is more than the actual 3 that a lot of repeaters give.
Yeah, and Jim may take a championship too.
I'm definitely a long-winded gentleman.
Yeah,
he has done it. If you're in the All-Star World Thursday night, 10 p.m., 454-050 will get you into our repeater.
Give me that again.
And
4-5 what?
Is that
454-050?
Okay, cool.
Is that also linked in the Ham Shack hotline?
No, that's on the list of things to do. There's a couple bridges and things that we're working on actually.
And I don't think Echolink's working right now. Right?
Echolink's down right now. We had Echolink and All-Star working.
No, Echolink is repaired. Echolink's
back up.
Yep.
So also Echolink, N8S as well.
Yeah,
N8SL-R.
Yep. Those repeater nets, like, so we started a COVID like welfare check-in net with way back when, and it's been going strong for 5 years. Every night there's
nice.
Guys are doing kind of a 2-round kind of thing.
Amazing.
It's a tough thing to do. Like I give our NCOs a lot of credit, but at the same time I'm also supporting them a lot, saying like, hey, you got to get more people involved because you're going to burn those guys out, and like it happens too much. Like I when I first got back in the hobby, I'm like, oh dude, I'm going to be an NCO for a traffic net, and it was like every Sunday for 52 weeks, and I'm like, okay, read the script again. It's not, and then at that point I find myself just, pushing it off. And then I just bowed out because it was like, it wasn't interesting. It was like, okay, I did my fill, and that's tough. I mean, that's tough.
The problem is you weren't having enough fun with it. You got to be like, good evening, Granite State Amateur Radio Association. This is your net controller, November 1 Oscar Golf.
Paul is showing me the light, and I need to we did a live stream for Nearfest. Yeah, we did a live stream for Nearfest, and one of our NCOs for our local net's like, you guys are gonna be at Nearfest. Maybe Paul, you could be the NCO for that night. So he's like, sure, no problem. Of course, he had 3 or 4 scotches in him at that point, and everybody in that tent on that live stream was like having a blast, but it was fun. I will give him that. No doubt in my mind.
That's awesome.
So.
It's one of those things that Rory encouraged me early on. He said, if you can actually establish a schedule, right, and people can expect to hear you at the same time, whether it's every night or every Tuesday and Thursday or whatever it is, it starts to become a sort of thing that you can listen to, right? And if you have your radio, you tune over to the Southline repeater on Thursday evening, and you see what those idiots are talking about, right? Exactly. And slowly you suck some folks into the whole idea, and it ends up kind of being kind of a little win. It's another way that you can pull people in that may not otherwise have been. We had a funny post. We found a Facebook post, and it was a gentleman had his handy talkie on a tripod in his garage. He's out there working on his car, and he said, "Listen to the N8SL late night roundtable." He wasn't checking in,
and
but
he's
he
a
had
guy
it
who's
stuck
never
up on
checked
his
in.
Yeah, and he's got a video of it playing on the thing, and it's us just BSing about random things, right? And we were just superbly entertained, right? It has become a thing in the Metro Detroit area that you could tune into at 10 o'clock on Thursday night and expect that there's going to be somebody talking about something. Yep. And that is what's cool, I think, about that. And it's just another way to pull people in and say, like, hey, if I had my license, maybe I could chat with those folks too. I have an opinion that I'd like to share. And we've had lots of people come and go. So neat idea anyway.
Yeah, I mean, our NCOs, they always throw a curve in there on a Saturday. They'll do like a question of the night, or they'll do they'll do something that's always like a little bit off kilter, so it doesn't always just become the droned on same thing over and over again, where people just kind of tune out after, like, oh, I went to the doctor's today, or hey, I went to the dump today for the 5th time this week, and it's like, thanks, yeah, great.
No thanks.
Which medication are you on now? Yeah.
Well, actually, funny story was one of the guys who does our Saturday night nets. He was one of the guys who always said on the when he did it during the regular week is like his dump story. So he decided, like, we're gonna do Tales of the Dump on Saturday. You tell us your Tales of the Dump on Saturday, and give us your best Tales of the Dump, and kind of go from there. So
I love it. Yeah, we're always looking for fresh topics.
Yeah, we did find with the Thursday night thing that adding in a light topic keeps the conversation, keeps it going a little bit better at that time of night. I was kind of against it, and Jim was like, well, it seems to be working. I didn't like the idea. I just wanted a round table, but you get too many dump stories, too many colonoscopy stories. You get too much going on.
It's like, we're at 2 meters. Why are we talking on 80 meters tonight? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that it actually works out. And we mentioned him earlier, Shane, KFE PWN. His fiance is very much often listening to the handheld, we found out, even if he's not home. So that's fascinating.
Yeah.
She's a future ham, I'm sure.
But she's a future ham. But anyway, this list of topic ideas came from her through Shane of things, and I used one of them. I led the round table this past Thursday, so we've even have people like that listening. It's pretty cool, but it is a good list, and I don't remember probably last fall I was driving to northern Michigan, and up in West Branch, Michigan, which is kind of central northern Michigan, I was driving through. They have a morning round table, and up north it's a lot of retirees. And they were on a Friday morning having a discussion about how they all felt about their CPAP machine. So it was that was the topic.
Yeah.
And I
I'm
did
sure that
check
was
in, and
exciting.
I did check in, and I let them know I do not use one. But that's
broke their streak.
But the funny thing is I actually do. I have an All-Star node at my desk at work, and a handheld. So I actually do some mornings dial into that repeater through All-Star. But the conversation is usually better than CPAP machine. But that's all right.
Well, you just remind them every day that you don't use the CPAP.
There we go.
I should do that. Still no CPAP machine. I wonder at some point that's going to change, I'm sure, but still no CPAP machine. So
hold on hope.
Then you'll have common ground and it'll be great.
Yeah. The building bridge.
Oh boy.
Too funny. Well, shoot. I might be getting close. What do you think, Eric? Are we about there?
Yeah, dude, totally up to you. I mean, in essence, we probably could talk forever, but
I love it.
Once you see, once you get going. But either way, it was awesome to have you guys on. And so, like I said, thanks again for reaching, responding back to the email, nevertheless. But
absolutely,
it was definitely some fun stuff. And so, I guess from a standpoint of what's going forward, just kind of wrap it up a little bit. What's going forward for Everyday Ham for you guys? What you got plans? I mean, obviously Dayton's come and gone, so you've already talked about that a little bit. You guys got any big things coming up that you want to share with
Phil?
I think from
James, go ahead, give it to him.
Yeah, I think for my FTX here, I got to find an old priest and a young priest to get out the gremlin.
Exorcism.
I mean, my headphones. I was literally joking. It blew up my computer. Well, I can't say it did, but my computer blew up earlier right before this show started. So I had to scramble, and now it's sitting in here as a makeshift laptop stand. And
most expensive one you've ever owned, by the way.
Yeah,
wow. He took a blast of RF into the shack somehow before we got on here. So I'm curious what happened there.
It was probably something I did, but I'm not quite sure how.
But it's got a great speaker.
It's USB-C to USB-C. What could you do wrong?
That's
really the question.
I have no idea. I don't think it was me, but I'm just going to go with it.
Just remember, whatever side you put the cable in, just turn it over. It's the other side.
Yeah, exactly.
USB-C, so it counts both ways. That's you no longer you have to guess.
And then my corded headphones failed somehow during the show, sitting next to this FTX one. So I don't want to say anything, but
dude, I'm telling you, it's putting out some bad juju.
Oh my god,
bad juju, man.
So with that, I think our big next project for us is Rory and Jim are coming over to the old Casa here to put up a 2 meter.
We're getting him on the air on V&U finally.
What?
So he doesn't have to dial into All-Star.
Yeah. So Rory can stop giving me crap about not being on the repeater more. That's really where it goes. But no, I live a good distance from South Lyon. Actually, I'm more north, more in a little bit more country as well. So
Elevation is up to James from the repeater, by the way.
Oh, so he's in the hole.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's
I'm in a void. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
So
Paul and I have big giant mountains or hills here in New Hampshire shadowing our repeater. So yeah, I literally have to go in my backyard on a pole, 25-foot pole with my HT, listening to the static to see where I could tune in the best. And at that point, forget it.
So I think that, and otherwise, I'm not really sure if we have any other big topics planned. I think we're kind of focusing on more breaking news trends and whatever else we feel like talking about, I guess, wherever the wind takes us.
Yeah, I think that the argument here is it's the first year of the Everyday Ham, right? So we're literally trying to just make it through a first year with a consistent schedule of at least delivering the things we promised we would deliver you on January 1st, which is a podcast a month. And we might come up with a fresh mic check video, which is our sort of colloquial term for fun things that we're doing in between the podcasts, right? That might be James going out in his Jeep to do a POTA activation, me unboxing the FTX1, Rory renting a cabin for Michigan QSO party or otherwise. So I think that in between those episodes, we're looking for interesting topics that are relevant to us hamming. And we're going to try to deliver those to those.
You guys do is it there's some restrictions per the contract agreement that you guys can't do a POTA together? I'm just curious. I see individual videos or you're separate.
No, we do all good plans a little bit there. But yeah, we try to.
The intention was actually this weekend to put together a video of Michigan QSO party, but guess what happened? James
Nobody
had 2
recorded.
kids. He was grilling hamburgers. I had a dog in my hands.
I was line cook, yeah.
Yeah. So James is busy running the skillet, and I'm busy making sure that my dog isn't biting people. And Rory, well, he just shows up and does what he wants. So yeah, we kind of just we never recorded anything. So we're not perfect. We're still trying to grasp this content creator thing.
Yeah.
What it all
6
is.
months into it, dude. Paul and I were like, in the middle of a podium, we're like, "Did you turn on the camera? No. Did you turn on the camera?
Right,
No.
that's
Damn it."
It didn't help that I broke my tripod in half, putting it into the wagon to take it out. So at that point, I was like, well, it might not be meant to be here.
I think one big thing for our show too is if Jim did an excellent job with that unboxing actually, and it was a hit from a video standpoint, but did a really good technical deep dive into the first time looking at the radio and everything like that. And I think for us too, it's also important that this is a platform for all 3 of us as well. So we of course love doing content together, and that's the primary focus. But if Jim wants to do an unboxing, Jim can do an unboxing, and I'm here to support him and see how I can help that, produce or edit it or do whatever he needs to do to get it out there. And I think that's one thing that's strong for us too. If we feel it, then we're just going to do it as well. And that's where that mic check series really comes in handy. And I think that's one of our strengths as well.
Kind of a unified front for 3 guys. If you have 3 guys, well, you should at least have some content out there at some point. None of us have our own channel, at least not one that's meaningful, at least. But so that's what we're doing right now. I think I agree with James.
Okay,
It's a matter,
when we're doing ham
of
stuff,
remembering to turn the camera on, because this is my first go at anything like this. So
that's
to remember to record myself is a challenge. I even doing the Michigan QSO party up north in the middle of May. James gave me all sorts of toys to use, and I'm like, ugh, I got to remember to do this. So it was. I got a little bit of video out of it. I could have done more, but it was okay for the first go. And I just don't think about it. It's a matter of making myself think about turning on the camera. I think one of these repeater trips, we should probably do a little bit of something with that. That'll get people's attention. It's all sorts of little things. It's not. It's just a matter of making the habit and doing it, I suppose.
Well, I want to compliment Eric a little bit here, right? So, Eric, you invited us on this evening, and we immediately, as we got started here, said, man, the production value here is killing us already. And we were just impressed by all of the soundboards and the panes, right, that you have planned out, and like the extra segment and the whole 9 yards. So, like, it is awesome to have you guys bring us on and kind of see how it's really done, because it shows us that there might be a way to do it in the future.
Thank you.
Right?
From our side, yeah.
I wanted to just say thank you to Eric for bringing us on here and reaching out in an email. It is a nice opportunity to kind of collab, and it's been a pleasure chatting with you guys this evening as the Everyday Ham and the Live Free Hams.
Yeah, it was really nice to actually get to spend time with you, Todd, and Paul as well, and just basically get to interrupt all your segments, and that's what we're here for. Yeah.
Go ahead, Paul. You had something to add.
No, so I just wanted to say that, like, I appreciate you guys being here, and I think that the similarities between our 2 shows are uncanny. It's awesome. You guys are just a little bit younger, right? So you bring a different perspective.
Sure.
Although I'll say, Jim and James, like, you probably weren't raised too far off from where I was raised, where most of our life was pre, technology.
Yeah.
Where, go outside and go frickin' play, right?
Yeah.
I'm not that young. I am a 1985 child, so I do remember pre-internet very well.
I was gonna say, I remember the world before the internet.
I haven't
I was
crossed
watching
40.
MTV on TV, and
Yeah. I haven't crossed 40 yet. That'll happen sometime this year. But
which, by the way,
I remember these things. I'm not that young.
Yeah, blows my kids' minds at 10 and 8 that I lived before the internet, and trying to explain to them American Online, they just can't comprehend it. So,
what was your screen name, James?
That. Oh God,
that was my last name.
I don't remember. Oh, I think it was my middle name, Jim, aka Stu, Jamaica Stu. I think that was it. I haven't thought about that in probably a decade. I wasn't a clever kid, so just bear with me.
We're talking AIM.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Exactly.
Wow, what a throwback. It was Oaken fan for me because I listened to techno at the time, so I love Paul.
You
Oaken.
still listen to techno?
I do still listen to techno.
What do you mean? I listened to techno at the time.
It's changed a little bit. It's evolved.
No,
right.
Todd, stop playing with the scenes.
There's a lot going on there.
Yeah.
A lot of buttons.
So anyway, we just wanted to thank Eric and Paul and Todd for having us on this afternoon. Thank you guys. It's been a pleasure chatting. I'll throw it back over to you guys.
Yeah, no problem, dude.
Yeah,
it's been a lot of fun. Thank you.
Yeah, very good.
Glad to have you guys on. You're more than welcome to hang out with us anytime. Like I said, even in the live streams, the door's wide open. If you guys happen to catch us in a live stream, come hang out with us. We always, we love, the company. I'm even thinking, heck, we, as I know Kyle, Alpha 0 Z, I don't know if you know Kyle at all. He does his Cahoots kind of, team, kind of competition quiz stuff. I'm thinking, we might want to put toe to toe to each other, you guys, and see how we do, and, kind of play in those spaces. But, and heck, I'm open to anything. We do a little bit of collaboration. You guys want us to come on and mess up your show? Feel free to let us know. We'll come by and wreck everything.
You're invited. Trust me. Yeah.
Outside of that, it was a blast hanging out with you guys. We could probably talk for a ton more hours, but you know how you say once you break the seal, you just end up interrupting the show. What the heck, Todd? Stop playing with the scenes. Oh man. So outside of that, if Todd was here, he'd say he'd share the same sentiments. I'm sure. Right now he's off. So. Yeah, dude, guys. So, all right. So, to kind of wrap things up, how, who wants to take the end of the load, and share, how folks can get to reach out to you guys, know more about your show? What's the easiest way to get a hold of you guys?
James.
The best spot to find us, and all our information is on everydayham.com. So, you can go out there and find our Discord, our Instagram, our audio version, and everywhere that podcast is posted, as well as our YouTube channel. So, everydayham.com. And that will point you to all the directions you need to go to. So we'd love to have you. Please remember to click, and subscribe, as well as this channel right here. I'll get that plug in there for you. And again, thank you so much for having us on. We learned a lot as well, and it was really nice to get to meet you. And we're down for anything in the future. I'll speak for the group here, and
let's do it again.
Let us know how we can derail your show more, and we'll be here.
Yeah, we'll do the same. we'll bring that Ford F-350 and we'll just drive it right on into the front of the store and park it there.
There's enough room.
What they're good for. It's a Ford.
Exactly right. Found on road dead. We all know that. I'm a Ram guy. Come on, just throw the Rams. Todd, you're not gonna come online. We don't see your video and no audio from your friend. It's your Mac. Figure out your Mac. Anyway, cool. Well, dude, guys, it was awesome having you guys on. I'm glad we finally got a chance to hook up, and hopefully we'll, maybe you guys get a chance to come out this way during our 24-hour party. We'd love to have you come out and hang out. We'll, bring the beers. We'll share, great stories, and we'll just hang out with you guys. And we're definitely gonna get some good food because I'm catering this event. I am not cooking, so make sure if you can break away, we'd love to have you guys. Otherwise, let's do some stuff in the future together for sure. I'd love to, once you guys get your call sign, let us know. We'll definitely try to do, maybe we'll do a, dual activation on a weekend or something like that with all of our club call signs and see if we can make contact. And I know for at least the past couple of months, if not the year, I have a direct pipeline into, Michigan all the time. So I have a bunch of guys that I talk to a lot that are in my POTA log that I work a lot. So it's always good to see.
All roads lead to Michigan. So
they do.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
State, I mean, I know Paul's already in the Midwest here. He's halfway here.
He's halfway there.
Yeah, just, swing on through.
Yeah. So I don't know how far I am from you guys, but I mean, if we can make something work, let's do it.
Sweet. Yeah, that'd be cool. Sweet.
Yeah. Todd, now that you're back.
Oh, I'm back?
Yeah, we see you now. I don't know what you did.
I've been watching. I've been trying to talk, and you guys are ignoring me. I'm like, what's going on with these guys?
Anything you want to add, my friend?
No, thanks for coming, guys. It's been fun. I was there the whole time, even if I was black or.
It said offline. So
I don't know what happened. I just. But you can see me messing the screens up, right?
Yeah, you were changing everything
all around. Yeah,
I wasn't sure if it was you or the FTX one. So
it could have been both. Yeah, the scene got.
There you go. The FTX one hurt. It hurt.
There he is.
That was Paul. We know that one.
Yeah. Taking me off. I have no idea what happened, but thanks for coming on, guys. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, thanks for having us. That was good.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like I said,
with the podcast and the YouTube and
go to 2 weeks. trying to go to 2 weeks, not once a month. I can't, the content's good. Like I have to say, your reviews, like Jim gets into deep, like in the weeds a lot with his radios. James, you're the same way. Like you guys have really just good, like overall, like general content when you're individual for your whole channel. I don't know, Rory, have you put anything out yet?
Just one.